Lovely boys.
Hello and welcome to episode 73 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me, as usual, is John Denton.
What's up?
Every week, John and I go through the 10 games we've been playing over the past 7 days. But because some mug last week caused us to miss the first show ever, I think, the first gap in the whole time since we started doing it.
It's not true. You got no memory.
I'm pretty sure it's the first one we've missed. But anyway, this week it's going to be a little bit longer. It's going to be the 15 games we've been playing over the past 2 weeks. So the number 15s are the games we've played the least over the past 2 weeks, and the number 1s are the games we've played the most. That's it, John. Redeem yourself, boy.
Number 15, Torchlight 2. Just played a little bit of it just before the podcast because you've been very mean and made me do 15 this week.
Too right.
Slash 2 weeks, whatever. I was in another country.
All right.
Hating on a man. Anyway, Torchlight 2 is the game that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, the Diablo deal. I could say that, but I've never played Diablo. I've only played this. And I played it for about 10 minutes just now, and it's really good. It's very simple. You know what to do. You just fucking click the guys, click the button to shoot your fucking better weapon, run around. If I had any clue about this genre, I could talk about it in detail and explain why it's good or break it down, but I don't. But all I know is it looks nice and it's quite good fun, and it's making me think that I do like this genre a bit more than I ever thought I did, but I'm still not 100% convinced.
All right, fair enough. Are you going to play? I mean, obviously Diablo 3 is out in like a couple of weeks or a month maybe on consoles. Are you going to bother?
No, not on consoles. I just play it on the PC if I was going to play it.
Oh, of course, I forgot, yeah.
Yeah, but it's still really pricey, so I only buy things for like 4p on PC these days.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was £2, 174 or something. A joke price.
Yeah, true that. Okay. Right, my number 15 is Fanny Granny's Great Escape on the Xbox 360.
Is this the one you played? It is the one you played the other day, isn't it?
Yeah, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I liked it very much. It's a driving game in which you simply flip between 3 lanes, and it's very simple, but it's very well made and it's enjoyable. I actually I accessed it from my dashboard by accident, and as soon as it started, it said there was a patch for it, which I thought was a bit weird. So I downloaded the patch and then played the game again. It's just made it much easier. One of the things I liked about it was that it was really difficult, and the second you saw something in the back, you had to react really quickly. It was almost like one finger death punch. It was like bang, bang, bang. You had to really react fast.
Right.
I guess the creator must have had complaints about it because he's made it very, very easy. It's still fun, and I still recommend it. But and it's 80 Microsoft points, so you can't go wrong. But I kind of liked how difficult it was. But it's still good. Fanny Granny's Great Escape.
Fanny Granny's Great Escape.
Check it out. It's good.
Yeah, big time. All right, my number 14 is a game called Slap on the iPhone. Now, the reason I played this game is I was on Reddit and some poor mug complained that his game Slap had been ripped off by some company who'd just done a complete lift of his game, redrawn the graphics and just stuck it on iOS themselves. I'm pretty sure I got his game and not that one. I'm pretty sure I did. The game itself is Slaps, Slaps.
What, with hands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, that could be fun. And then it said you need 2 players. And I just thought, well, that's fine, but why wouldn't you just play Slaps? If you had another person, it's way more fun. Yeah. So I played against myself for a bit, and it's quite funny. What the little hand gets redder and redder and redder, and you can dodge. It seems like a fun game, but if I got to play against AI, I mean, it's fucking wasted time. Don't get me wrong, but if I played against AI, I would have killed 10 minutes or something, but the fact you have to play against another human, I'd rather just beat the shit out of them, to be honest.
Yeah, really. I suppose if you're a phobic of pain, then it's probably quite...
But really interested in the game of Slaps. Surely only the person that made this game is that person.
Did you pay...
I felt sorry for the guy, but then the game was free, so...
Yeah, what's he going to have lost out on? A bit of exposure in the slapped hand market?
I don't know. It's one of those ones where you can, get rid of the ads for 69p or whatever.
Oh, right, okay.
I felt bad for him because he'd obviously just been ripped off, but fuck knows why the other people even bothered.
It's Reddit. He's probably making the whole thing up anyway.
Probably. But he had screenshots.
Oh, okay.
But
right.
someone got ripped off.
Yeah. All right, okay, well, that's maybe I'll check that out. Maybe.
No, don't. Just have a game of Slaps.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, my number 14 is Arcade of Neon on the Xbox 360. It's another indie game. I downloaded it months ago and I forgot it was there, so I just thought I'd get it out of the way. It's a black screen. It's 80 Microsoft points. It's a black screen. You're a neon circle and you move around in the background. You have to avoid other neon circles. If one of the same colour as you hits you, it's fine. If one of the other colours that's not you hits you, it's bad. So you only have 3 lives. All of the colours, it's amber, green, blue and red. So they're mapped to the face button so you can change colour. And you just have to absorb these circles. You get 3 lives. That's it. Occasionally these... coloured stars fly in which give you extra lives and you have to be the right colour. It's fine. There's different modes. There's one mode where you can't change colour, which is like really, really quite pain. The music is a horrible approximation of a hard trance anthem and it's really off key. It's just like, it's a horrible, it's like it puts you right off. The best mode is instead of points for getting these circles, it adds seconds to a clock that's on countdown. I mean, it's just the simplest thing in the world. It's entertaining for about 5 minutes. Like all of these things, the fact that it doesn't have high score tables is the biggest enemy because the entertainment value that you could have would be setting a high score, which is you can't do. So Arcade of Neon, yeah. I mean, it's bleh.
Yeah, these games sort of go in one ear and out the other sometimes.
Yeah, that was one. Games. Yeah, that was completely disposable.
All right. My number 13, I guess it is Breach and Clear on iPhone. Now, have you heard of this?
I think it was on Eurogamer today, right?
That's right. It is the iOS turn-based strategy game from Robert Bowling. You know, the fucking former COD guy who went off to go and do his own thing.
Yeah.
And it's basically a turn-based strategy version of, I'd say COD. It's the same sort of jingoistic bollocks as COD, but it is more like Rainbow Six because it's all about layering up on doors and then breaching them. So you make a little plan of action. It handles quite nicely. It handles kind of like XCOM, and it's got cover and all that sort of stuff, and you know there's loads of really complicated menus beforehand, and you can customize all your guns to ridiculous levels, and that's where microtransactions come in, all that shit. That made no sense to me. I didn't even bother listening to it, but the actual game itself is okay, and I like the idea. You sort of stack up on a door. That's what it says. Stack up on the door, and then go through your 4 men. They've got their different classes, usual shit. And then you can kind of tap on them, tap where you want them to end up in this room. The whole thing's kind of done from an isometric, very XCOM-y. You can spin it, you can zoom it, all that stuff. But what I didn't like about it is that you're turn-based, but the enemies aren't. So they will react. It's not like you go in and then that's the end of the turn, and then the enemies have their turn.
They're constantly moving.
No, they only move during your turn, if that makes any sense. So you like go to execute, you set everything up and you press like execute, whatever the button is, and all you guys move, and then the enemies will move in real time. Then they'll have battles like that, but it kind of eliminated the strategy for me because I don't know, I wanted it to just be like a normal turn-based game where I could actually try and outthink people, but it seemed to just be about how you were going to line up on doors and which guys you were going to use in which areas, and ultimately it kind of didn't do it for me very quickly, and none of the other stuff about the game was good enough to make me pull through. It was very boring. Everything else about it was very, very boring. Very COD. Not even like as fun as COD, just like fucking old Rainbow Six type of boring. And it just kind of left me cold, unfortunately, because I thought the idea was great. If it was XCOM, but, you know, cheap and done with normal soldiers and whatever, I was like, yeah, I'm down for that, but as it is, yeah, just didn't really get it, and it wasn't fun, and I didn't like it.
Okay, you can't argue with that. What the hell was the deal with Robert Bowling? I thought he was a community manager that somehow became synonymous because I don't. Is he a developer? Was he ever?
Yeah, I think he started as a community manager when community managers didn't really exist, and then became like lead strategist on, I think maybe Modern Warfare 3. Oh, right. So I think it was like he was sort of head of media and involved in the production. Then he left to go and do his own company. Did a Kickstarter, I believe, which failed. I think this is right. You know me, I'm always good with facts.
Yeah.
And then maybe formed another company or had a side project, and this game was from him. But I still don't think he's a programmer or anything like that. I think he's more like an ideas man.
Okay. Well, we'll get
if the idea is stick soldiers in a room.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll be profitable anyway.
It was a nug 50 I spent on that shit.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, my number 13 is a game called. Well, it's called Jet Pack Ninja Quest. If you search for it in the iOS, it's an iOS game. If you search for it in the App Store, that's what it's called. But the game is actually called A Ninja Flying with a Jetpack: a Sonic Boom Run. This was recommended by Joypod host David Turner. I think because I might have mentioned its creator a few weeks ago, because they always talk about this guy, this Chinese developer who uses terrible English and stuff and whatever. It's absolutely diabolically poor. It's a vertically scrolling shooter. You have to hold, like all the cave ports and whatnot, you have to hold the screen to move the little guy. Sometimes the thing is, you have to shoot all the time. There are a lot of enemies, so you have to shoot all the time. Sometimes when you hold him, he shoots, and then sometimes he doesn't. What you want to do is to have him shoot all the time, but then you do that and you run out of ammo. And ammo only appears in these oil drums. I think that's what it was. And you always shoot them because they look exactly the same as the enemies, and they've come at you really fast. It's fucking terrible. The enemy fire is really difficult to see. And it moves really fast, so you get hit a lot anyway. But after about 2 minutes, the brilliant enemy turns up, which the fire, when it shoots at you, the fire is the same colour and moves at the same speed as the looping background animation of space. So you almost literally can't see it. Those guys are my special boys. I mean, god damn, it's terrible. Jetpack Ninja Quest stroke a ninja flying with a jetpack : a Sonic Boom Run. It was supposed to be terrible, and it is. I just wish I had more to say about it. No, I don't. Change the subject. It's
Is it the same people that made that Zombies Plants thing?
No, it's not. It's a Chinese guy. I can't remember his name. I actually downloaded a load of his, so I mean, I might look at them if they're worth talking about in future. But I mean, it's really fucking crap. It just doesn't work. It's bollocks. Stay away.
Yeah, I'm not touching that shit, although the name's good. My number 13 is my number 12. I don't know. There's too many in this list. Yeah. Letterpress, the game Letterpress. The reason I played this was actually listening to Joypod, and they were banging on about it, and I knew I needed more games. You played Letterpress before?
I don't think I have, no.
It's the one that's the combination of kind of boggly shit and, I guess, in a really, really, really basic way, Risk, in that you have to control the board. So you try and make a letter. God, I played this fucking 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to remember now. You try and make a word. You're playing one-on-one against someone online, turn-based, and with like a square grid of letters, that sort of shit. And then if you get that, then you'll colour in that area. Say blue, it's blue versus red. And then they have to try and make a word, and they can use the letters that you've used. And then if they get it, they'll turn that area red and stuff. So you're basically trying to take over as much of the board as possible, and you can eat chunks of their colour out. So say they make a word, but you make a word with letters within that word. If that makes sense. Yeah. So then you can start reclaiming it territory. It's really good. I can see it's got a massive following. People fucking love it. I think it's free as well. It's very good. I kind of played it for a bit and then forgot I had it on my phone, and then just noticed it about an hour before the podcast, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, I forgot I played that. So letterpress. But I'm far from an expert. I'm really quite, considering what I've done for all of my career, I'm pretty bad at letter games.
Yeah, okay. Well, that does sound alright. I think I do.
You like it. You like all that shit.
Yeah, true. Letterpress. It's on iOS, obviously, I assume.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a freebie.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure, although it might not be.
All right, okay. Well, I will look into that. Okay, my number 12 is another Xbox Live indie game. It is called Gory Wild West. What's this about, then? It's fairly new. I won't spend very long talking about it because it's incredibly simple. It's very crudely animated, but quite endearingly so. It's cyberpunk, but in this sort of Wild West setting, and it's all in black and white, and it's... You say it is crude, but there is something. I did quite like the way it looked. Two guys shuffle towards each other from opposite sides of the screen. They stop in front of each other. A triangle comes up on the guy on the right, which just, I think it says something like "wait for it." When that disappears, you press the trigger. It's like a duel.
Okay.
With two guys in a cyberpunk Wild West setting. The best thing about it is that your guy name is Heroic Harry, and the first guy you face off against is called Lawless Larry. That's nice. That's as good as the game gets. You wait for something to appear and then you press a trigger. 80 Microsoft points. I wouldn't bother. If it was a mini game inside another game, perhaps, but on its own, it's just almost literally nothing. Do
they come thick and fast, or is it literally like
no?
One?
They come up. They comes up with like a text, like they speak to you first, and it's supposed to be funny, but funny in a kind of way where I think perhaps it was written by a child.
Right.
Just because it's kind of just like, you want to tell them to shut up. But yeah, it's gory Wild West. You can totally discern what it is from the trial if you're interested, but why are you?
Yeah, sorry, for some reason I just had a flash of the man who sat on the bus today, this fucking gamer who was probably about 20 stone, his hair was lank and greasy like nothing I've ever seen. He was wearing flip-flops and his toenail was dark bleeding red and he smelt like the bottom of a rubbish bin. I mean, to the point where I thought someone had just brought their rubbish on the bus, and then I turned around and saw this guy, and he'd bought Skyrim secondhand, and he was opening it and talking to the instruction manual. And that's when I decided that I really need to pass my driving test.
What was he saying to the fucking instructions?
He wasn't saying it, he was like whispering. He was just whispering out the instructions and then like the receipt inside his box. He stank so badly. It was unbelievable.
Wow. I don't understand. That's like their target market. Why is he only playing Skyrim now?
I know. That's actually what I thought on the bus when in between very short breaths.
Okay. Well,
I don't know why that jumped into my head when you were talking about that. I think it's because you said it was written by a child, and I had visions of it either being a child or someone like that.
all right.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Fucking hell. It's making me retch even thinking about it. Right, my number 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mario Kart 3DS. Now, if you hadn't made me do 15, I wouldn't have talked about this because I do play it every now and then without talking about it. But I was bored in the airport on the way back from Sweden and decided to have a Grand Prix on Mario Kart 3DS, and I thought this was going rather well. And then on the very last corner of the very last race, I got hit with a blue shell and ended up coming second in the Grand Prix. And then I grabbed my 3DS and I bit it as hard as I could in front of an airport of people waiting to get on a plane. That's the only story I have about Mario Kart 3DS. I have nothing else to add about the game, but it's amazing that it still manages to do that almost every single time.
Well, I take it that wasn't a person, that was the AI. You weren't playing online.
No. Yeah, no, just the AI. I'm just trying to get all the golds very slowly on the fastest, on the 150cc, all the gold things. Whenever I have a spare 20 minutes or something.
Okay, good tactic.
Yeah, bitage
indeed. Okay, right, my number 11 is a game called Blood Mask on Mask, Masque. It's an iOS game. My girlfriend told me about it. My girlfriend is a huge iOS gamer, and she's got her finger on the pulse as far as that stuff goes. And she told me about it like it was the second coming, and it's a fairly big deal. I think it's a Square Enix game. It's £5, and she said it's the most she's ever bought up front for a game. It's a fighting game that has kind of RPG elements to it. You sort of the game itself, you're moving through these environments, and it's 3D. It's on the Unreal Engine, and it looks actually really impressive on an iPad. And you get missions off people, and those missions involve having a fight. The XP is blood, and you have. It's kind of like you fight with other people, other players, but not live. So you can sign up to certain clans, and then so she'll have people, she'll fight with them, and then she can have them in a roster of regular people that she fights with. They are actual people, and then when they fight with her, their stats go up, and vice versa. And then you can donate blood to people on your squad if you want to get their XP up faster and stuff like that. It's quite nice. It's a very sort of nice community. I saw that people had given her stuff, and like she was giving stuff to them. I was like, that's really nice. There's a nice little community already.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're walking around these environments, you get missions, and then it's a fighting game, and it just involves tapping and sort of QTEs basically. But it's quite entertaining. The fact that it's £5, I mean, it's difficult. It should mean that there's no microtransactions. Apparently, she hasn't. But she said they come up now and again and say, "Do you want to purchase this?" And she always says no. But I kind of feel that if you're spending £5 in a game, you shouldn't have in-app purchases in it. But if you're putting it out there, you might just think we might as well. You know, it's a fucking shame. I mean, from what my girlfriend said, you get more than what you pay for with the £5, and it's not aggressive in the slightest. But still, I thought that was a little bit much. And it's simple, but it's surprisingly Moorish, and she's completely hooked on it. I almost forgot to mention the best thing about it is the face mapping. I've never seen it done as well as it's been done in this game. You take 3 different poses from 3 different angles, and then it maps it onto this character. And it's quite uncanny.
Really?
They implement you into the cutscenes. I'm watching my girlfriend have all these sort of like, you know, in the cutscenes, and then showing her jumping around with this sword and stuff. It's like it was several double takes. I was like, that looks amazing.
Oh shit!
That's how she heard about it. Incidentally, she's like, "It sounds so cool." So it was a bonus that the game's actually as good as it is. It involves money up front, but it's. I was surprised by how good it is. I don't think I'd play it myself because if it's going to be a fighting game, I'd rather it was a bit more sophisticated. But Blood Masters.
You just played on hers, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, she insisted I play it, and I did actually get into it. So I'd actually kind of recommend it. I mean, she loved that. I think you played it, the iOS version of Superman versus Batman.
Oh, Injustice.
Injustice. Yeah. Did you play that?
Yeah, I did. I talked about it on here, but I thought it was shit.
Yeah, it's similar to. I mean, apparently it involves the same sort of gestures and stuff like that. But I quite liked it. So I thought it was quite good, and it looks incredible for an iPad game. So yeah, Blood Mask. I thought it was pretty impressive, really.
So my iPad won't run that shit, unfortunately.
Oh damn.
Nor will yours. I wouldn't have thought.
Why not?
You got the old school, didn't you?
No, I've got the most recent.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
It's when my girlfriend's a nutter. It was a gift.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, she's ran the twist.
Blimey. Do you remember that programme? Anyway, we're not that type of podcast. Right, my number... Well, I don't even know what we're on anymore.
10?
Number 10?
Yeah.
I should just write numbers down. That's my new thing that I don't. Anyway, my number 10 is... I'm going to call it Sonic Racing because I can't remember what it's called. The new Sonic Racing game that everyone said was good. It was in Steam sale for a bluey, so I bought it, and it is good. I haven't played that much of it, but it's really nice. It looks nice. It moves nice. Whether it has the depth or the kind of Moorishness of Mario Kart, I haven't got a clue yet because I haven't played enough of it, but I'm certainly impressed by what I've played so far.
Have you done the level where I think it's not the Space Harrier, the Harrier? When you're flying around off Harrier, what Afterburner? That was it. The Afterburner themed level.
No, I haven't done that yet.
That is the business. I mean, it's all about modifying how you play, going from boats to cars to planes. It's really, I mean, it's both of those Sonic racing games are surprisingly good. Excellent, in fact. That most recent one is absolutely superb. Are you going to play it anymore?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'd actually wanted to get it on Wii U for ages, but I couldn't find it for less than like 30 odd quid. But then when I saw it for, I think it's maybe $4.90 or $4 or something, $5.
Yeah.
On Steam, I was like, yeah, all day, I'll take that. But yeah, I just didn't have time to put in any. And I bought a bunch of stuff, and that was kind of low priority compared to some of the other stuff that I wanted to play. But yeah, I have it. Yeah, I will play it definitely.
All right, cool beans. It's it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it looks nice as well. Fucking hell, it looks lovely on PC. Yeah.
Wait until you see. I mean, the best looking level. One of the best looking levels I've seen on of anything actually on a 360 is that Afterburner level. It's incredible, really? And it runs it's so fast.
Yeah.
Technically amazing. That is.
Yeah, I might stick it on after this actually because I've kind of forgotten I played it because this was ages ago now.
Yeah.
But it does seem cool.
It is. It's good. Very good. Okay, my number 10 is doesn't have it's called Untitled, but I assume it just doesn't have a title. It's the latest project from Stephen Lavelle, aka Ink Repair, who I've spoken about before. Who was we both spoke about his recent game Slave of God, and innumerable other projects. I'm very comfortable, and I'm prone to referring to his stuff as art games, not because they self-consciously pursue a meaning or they contain any commentary on anything. It's just because they're pure self-expression. And he's also a wind-up merchant because the last game of his I spoke about, which was Songs of Travel, you draw something and then puke on it. So I don't, if you're sort of searching his stuff trying to find something especially high-minded, I think you're a bit of a buffoon. But this is an interesting one. It starts and it's top down and it's kind of Atari. It looks like an Atari. Well, it's slightly better than Atari. It kind of looks like Minecraft but virus ravaged. So it's all sort of rough edges and stuff like that. You're driving around in this massive sausage and you have to pick up friends.
Sorry, you caught me by surprise.
You have to pick up your friends from their houses by driving the sausage into the living room. They jump on and then you carry on. And then you go into town to buy some underwear. Then you pick them all up, fly over a bridge, and then it morphs into a driving game that's sort of rendered in that same Slave of God, but black and white. So it's really quite a head fuck. And it's a driving game. So you're driving the car, and then bang, as soon as that's finished, those 2D pixel art characters are in a 3D land, and you're moving. Basically, it was pointless me explaining it. There may or may not be a conversation about how the world is made of oil, and it may or may not end with Earth turning into a flesh-coloured meteorite and raining underwear into space. There's no point in me reiterating any of this stuff because I just think you should go and play it. Yes, I keep, people have asked me about it, and I said I keep calling it an art game, but I don't think you should look for meaning in it. I just think it's just pure, as I said, pure self-expression. I enjoyed 30 minutes or so spending it in the mind of a very, very odd person. I don't think you should look for anything beyond that, and it's a half an hour well spent, I reckon. It doesn't have a title.
It sounds good.
It's his most. It's at the top of his page because it's his most recent. It just says untitled. So it's interesting. We always, as always with his stuff, read through the comments because some of the theories and ideas that people discuss about what it could be about in inverted commas are pretty mental. I think. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Half an hour of confusion and the sort of laughs and stuff, and just weirdness and deliberately wonky controls. I mean, it's just a head fuck, but a very, very pleasurable one.
Is it? Am I going to be able to hack it? Because I couldn't hack Slave of God at all.
No. The only really visually oppressive stuff is in that car, and that lasts for all of about 15 seconds max.
Oh, okay. I'll play that then.
Oh, good. Yeah, you should. It's worth a look, and any computer can run it. It's basic as.
All right, sweet. My number nine. Fucking hell. Yeah. Just do your job, John. Is Little Inferno. Again, just trying to scramble for stuff to play on my Steam account just to fill up the list. But thankfully it did save. I don't know. Nobody will remember, but I was worried that when I played it last, I turned it off and it didn't save. It did save. Why did I even mention that? It's the more I play of it, the better it gets. I think that everybody said that really. For people that might not know the game, if they didn't hear it before, it's the one from the people that made World of Goo. And all it is a fireplace, and you can buy items and burn them, but they'll react in funny ways, and you can kind of chain it up. Then coins will drop, get you more money to buy more stuff, but it all happens really, really fast. But there's this really sinister, blackly comic edge to it, which is getting more and more sinister the more I play, and it's sort of slowly unveiling this kind of interesting story about the world being in like a permanent winter, and it kind of has an almost like Fallouty vibe to it, the kind of satirical, almost like the adverts in RoboCop as well, especially the one for the game, the nuclear game. There's kind of that vibe to it as well. I'd be far more informed to talk about any of this kind of stuff when I do finish it, which I now will. Now I know it's safe. That's the reason I brought that up. Anyway, I will go and play the whole thing because it's fun to play, and it's bottom line, it's really satisfying just to burn the things. It's done really well. The fire's really nice. The sound's really good, and you never know what's going to happen, how the things are going to react when you pop them in. Like people have talked about the school bus that you pop in, which looks like a toy, but then it's just screaming, burning children, which is shocking, but kind of funny as well. It's very dark humour, but it's very good. It was part of that humble bundle, which is I wouldn't have paid. I've said this before, but I was glad I didn't pay £12 for it on Wii U when the Wii U first came out. But for effectively fuck all, it's a must-have, really. I think, even though it's fairly simple.
Yeah, I'll have to play it at some point because I've heard way too much about it. Nintendo seemed to be a little bit. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that might be on a sale on the Wii U shortly. Because last time I turned the Wii U on, which was fucking ages ago, admittedly, there was stuff that was discounted quite heavily. So I'll probably wait for the Wii U version just because I don't have a PC and I want an excuse to turn my Wii U on.
Yes.
But yeah, it sounds all right.
No, it's cool. It's very cool. I like that company as well because World of Goo was the shit.
Oh yeah, I forgot it was made by World of Goo really was the shit.
Yeah, Tomorrow Company, Tomorrow Corporation.
Okay.
That's what they're called.
Genuine. Okay, my number 9 is Baby Maker Extreme 2 on the Xbox 360. It is an indie game recommended by listener and sometime JoyPod contributor Matt Murray. It's a really good shout because I'd been meaning to pick it up for ages because I found out after Mount Your Friends came out that this was made by Daniel Steger, the same guy. Oh, right. So it's from the maker of Mount Your Friends, which should, that's a recommendation. You're in the hospital, you hammer bee like mad, and once this countdown is complete, a lady gives birth and fires a baby off down the corridor of the hospital. And there's a randomly generated selection of injured people on waiting area and tables and doctors and stuff. You have 2 moves, and you can only pull them off you only have one of each. So you can dive very fast, or you can rise up, sort of a mid-air jump.
Right.
Once you've used them, that's it. The only way you can get those moves back is if you hit something that's tinged with this sort of turquoise light. So intermittently, every like 5 things or sort of 3, at random, they've got these turquoise light around them.
Right.
When you hit them, you bounce back up and you get the 2 moves back. So it's just sustaining it as long. It's like an endless runner, more or less. You have to sort of sustain it for as long as you can, and just using the 2 moves at the right time. It's very, very simple. It's just like hitting the right spot to earn a collectible every time, because you have to bounce. Once you work out how the baby moves through the air and how it moves at certain speeds and stuff, you can really keep it going for a really long time, and it's really it's a surprisingly taut game just in terms of its controls. It's funny as well. Needless to say, there's all sorts of sort of arcane and weird costumes and hats and bait for your baby. You can even have your avatar bouncing down, although not naked. You have to be wearing the clothes that you're wearing. It's 80 Microsoft points. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's so terrible that they can't have leaderboards, because this is the best things on Xbox Live indie games. They're all score-sack games, and this is another example. After you've come out of the hospital, you go through the town, you end up in a mall, and it gets weirder than that afterwards. It's 80 Microsoft points. I highly recommend it. It's not it's not in the same breathing space as Mount Your Friends, but what the fuck is?
Yeah, indeed. That sounds good. That sounds really good. It sounds fun.
I don't know.
The no leaderboards thing's a killer, because as you were talking about it, I was thinking, high score action.
Yeah. I can't vouch. Incidentally, I've got it's Baby Maker Extreme 2 that I played. I don't know how the first one measures up, so I can't say. But yeah, I'll talk about leaderboards on Xbox Live indie games in a minute. So
all right, okay. My number 9.
9.
Jesus. Sorry everyone, is Binding of Isaac on PC, or in fact on Mac. Killing time again on my travels. Such a good game to kill time with, and I'd forgotten that it's due out this summer. It is the summer now, on consoles, so I haven't heard anything about it for ages. But I haven't played it for ages either, and it was really good to go back to it. I think this game cost me 30p, and the amount of hours that I played it for, it's got to be one of the highest value propositions I've ever had in gaming.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to put in over 20, 25 hours into it. It's just a fucking classic. There's no two ways about it. It is a classic game. You know all about it. I've talked about it plenty.
Yeah.
Randomly generated, roguelike type thing. Don't know what roguelike means really, but that's what people call it. It's the equivalent of a twin-stick shooter. The items that you get to level up Isaac are just consistently brilliant, and you end up with this like completely Frankensteined, morphed up Isaac by the time you get deeper and deeper, with like fucking coat hanger sticking out of his head, and it completely changes the way the game plays. The bosses are brilliant. There's basically nothing bad to say about it. The more you play, you start to learn these little secrets. It's a fucking classic. I can't believe how much I got it for, and I'll happily pay for it again when it does come out on console with all new content and new enemies and new gleam.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. The fact that they haven't said anything about it, could that mean that they're going to wait for the new set of consoles?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I thought it was a done deal, but if you can now self-publish on both, which seems to be what's happening, then they might well. But then again, the user base is so much bigger, and will be so much bigger for so long on 360, that it would still make sense to put it on that, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's probably just coming out, and it just didn't make Summer of Arcade, and it'll be out in August or something.
Yeah. Okay. If you're looking at stats, if you want to try and get a sort of discern how well your thing's going to sell on arcade, the stats would be skewed by the last few months in which some of the worst arcade games there's ever been have come out. And I bet that, like Scourge Outbreak, it wouldn't surprise me if it didn't sell one. And there was another game that I played again, wouldn't surprise me if it didn't sell one copy. So maybe they're hoping sort of to hedge their bets, and I don't know. I don't have a fucking clue. I don't know why I mentioned it.
I know what you mean, though. I mean, that in the last year. And I don't know if this is me, a skewed perception on my point, because I have a PC now, but that world at the moment just seems to be, you just play it on PC, especially when, like, for the price of one XBLA game, like a 1200 pointer, I think even on this list, I've picked up like 4 or 5 games in total for that price. You just can't beat that. And these are games that have been only out, less than a year.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. All right. Okay, my number 8 is a game called Unearthed, The Trail of Ibn Battuta on the PlayStation 3.
Hold on, you're going to have to say that again.
Why?
You might as well have said that in Swahili. What was that?
Oh, what, because you didn't understand it? Or
Yeah.
All right. Unearthed, The Trail of Ibn Battuta.
Oh, is this the fucking Uncharted thing that you talked about? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
What, did I tell you about it already?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Did I? I can't.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's right. Because some a listener recommended, or it didn't recommend it. They suggested we play it. I like to think it wasn't a recommendation. Have you ever heard of Ibn Battuta?
Is this a real person?
Yeah, he's a famous Moroccan explorer. I didn't know this. I googled it just
Right.
because the game seems to suggest that he was somebody 14th century, ages ago. He's buried in Tangier, so head over there if you want to hear what it sounds like to hear a man spinning in his grave. As soon as you I downloaded the demo. This is not a critique on the whole game. I downloaded the demo. As soon as you put the cursor on the thing, it changes the desktop of the PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's like there's sun coming through the window and there's binoculars and mugs and pictures of art. It's Uncharted. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the music even is Uncharted. It starts up, and the first thing that happens is that what I think is the launch trailer plays, and it's encoded. It's really badly encoded, really low res, and an unbelievably skittish frame rate, and it looks like the worst game you've ever seen. There's a car accident. It's fast paced to try and make it look like there's loads of action, but the car accident looks like two boxes falling over. There's an explosion that looks like it's rendered in the fucking. I mean, it looks unbelievably poor. And then the game starts. And it starts out and it's kind of moody. You're on this boat. There's loads of red sirens going off. There's a voiceover saying, basically, I'm fucked. I'm a dying man. How did I get into this situation? And you're there holding your wounds, walking around. It's third-person action game. It mimics Uncharted, obviously. And you're walking around this boat. And it's, I wouldn't say it's surprisingly dark, but it is supposed to be like this guy's about to die. And all of these enemies are coming, you have to shoot them, and every time you shoot them, completely destroying any sense of atmosphere there is, your character goes things like, bullseye! Or he goes, oh yeah! So it's just like, what is this? It's supposed to be dark and moody and stuff, and it's just he goes and ruins it. The red pointers which come up that are supposed to indicate where you're being shot from, they're all over the shop. So on 2 occasions, I being shot from the front, and I'm like, where the fuck? Is he behind the scenery? I can't see it, and then I drop dead. Guy was behind me, so you can't pay attention to that at all. So I walk through it, holding my wounds. I'm dying. I shoot a load of guys, and then a guy jumps out right in front of me, and then the perspective changes. 2 energy bars appear on the top left and top right of the screen. It turns into a fighting game.
This sounds amazing.
No, it's the worst fighting game that's ever happened. I mean, literally the worst fighting game I've ever played in my life. The worst. There's an input delay of almost a full second on every single attack. For some reason, they put all the buttons on the shoulder buttons. So it's punch, punch, kick, kick, and there's a block. And all 1 second. And you just... I got completely decked. I had no health left. The other guy had like 3/4 of his health bar left. And all of the attacks deal random damage. So I just kicked him and then... and that took 3/4 of his health bar away, and then I'd won the fight, and that was that. Absolutely fucking shocking. Okay, after that, it goes back, the voiceover comes up and says, oh, and here's how I got here. So it goes back to the beginning of the story. And it's this character who's supposed to be... like he's a Nathan Drake clone. He's talking to this woman who's apparently his partner. They go on these expeditions together, although she's always kept waiting in the car. She has more knowledge, and she's a young woman, and she seems to be as impassioned and sort of in love with this as he is. Right. But she's always she has to sit in the car and wait for it.
This is an Arabian game, right?
Yeah, where's it from? It's like the first... Yeah, it's a Saudi Arabian studio.
Okay, I'll say no more on that matter. Then I'll just leave it there.
I know it's their first game, and I know they're from Saudi Arabia, but that's about all I know. The first when it says the voiceover. Here's how we got into this situation. It's those two standing by a car. And I think what they tried to do is, because they realised they didn't have the budget to motion cap actors, they've animated it, they've over-animated it to make it look like they have. But it's so badly done. I mean, it looks like drunk people's sign language. Like, everything that you're talking about, so arms going everywhere. It looks ridiculous. And it just makes it look like the cheapest, shittest game of all time. But there's arms waving all over the place while they're having this really sort of laid-back conversation about God knows what. They drive up this mountain, and he ducks his head. She's left in the car. He ducks his head under a wall, past a bush, and then all of a sudden there's a massive fucking temple there. She's seemingly in the game just to speak to you over the radio, so you've got a headpiece on and you talk. And he's an absolutely unbelievable twat. So she's as fanatical as him and passionate about what they're doing as he is. But obviously she's waiting outside. He walks into this temple and he's like, "Oh my God, you would not believe what I'm seeing. It's so beautiful." And she's there going, "Tell me, what can you see?" And he goes, "Only risk takers get to see such beauty." I wouldn't say you're a fucking cunt. I mean, honestly, their exchanges, the exchanges between those two are unbelievable. Just like, what kind of fucking idiot thinks that he's a likable character? Anyway, you walk into this temple. There's a massive fountain in the middle of the room, and I'm like, okay, I have to find a switch and put water in the fountain or something. Walk up to the fountain, and this box comes up that goes, maybe you should try and find full things to throw into the fountain. I was like, all right, I walk around, I find a vase, I kicked it, there's like an amulet in it, I threw it in there, like, maybe 3 more of those, and you'll solve the puzzle. I'm like, yeah, all right. Walk around for ages, can't find anything. And then a message comes up and goes, why did you try and find a ledge to walk up on? Now, I play a lot of games, obviously. I searched that room for probably about 20 minutes, and I went back outside everywhere I could look to find this ledge they kept trying to find, and I could not find it. The only time I did find a ledge, the scenery pushed me off it because I wasn't supposed to be standing on it. So I threw in the towel. That's the first thing that you're supposed to do, and I threw in the towel. I mean, it's a fucking terrible game. It's the frame rate renders some of it completely unplayable. There's button prompts that just pop up when there's nothing for you to do, just completely by accident. It'll say press it, and you're like, no, it doesn't do anything. It's it's busted. It's one of those games that doesn't even have the decency to be so bad it's funny. It's just so bad you're just like, I don't want anything. I don't want any part of this. And it's just, what a fucking harebrained scheme. You're working with a low budget. What franchise are you going to attempt to mimic? The most lavish and expensive Sony exclusive in the world. Why not? Oh my God. Fuck me. Unearth the trial of Ibn Battuta.
Fucking the trial of Evil Knievel.
Honestly.
I'm in.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would say it's worth a look. It's not. What I've just said is exactly what happens.
You've made it sound better than I'm sure it is, but I can imagine the sickness, it sort of building up inside your stomach as you're trying to find that ledge.
Yeah. I mean, I'm walking back outside and then walking back in again.
Just that feeling. Oh, it's the worst.
I gave it benefit of the doubt because you get into those situations and then you just look at it with fresh eyes and like, oh God, it's right there. I don't know where the fuck this was, or if the puzzle was something completely different. And those sort of weirdly smarmily written, maybe you should try this, were like completely just to throw me off the scent. I don't care. Unearth the trail of Ibn Battuta. Fuck off. Crap.
Oh man, I really want to play that. Well, I don't know how to follow that. Right, my number 7.
7, yeah.
Yeah, Dota 2. Now, a confession, I did play this, but I didn't play it enough for it to be my number 7, but I did watch a fuckload of it. Now, normally that wouldn't count, but where I was last week was in Sweden, in the house, the training house of the best Dota 2 team in the world, called the Alliance. 5 Swedish dudes, lovely boys. That sounded weird. Lovely guys, fucking really smart, like friendly guys who just happen to be unbelievably good at this game, and they're currently travelling. They may have got there by the time you listen to this, to Seattle to compete in the 3rd, the International. Have you heard of the International? Valve's tournament. It's the World Cup basically, and I think the prize money this year is like $1.3 million or something like that. Yeah, God. It's legit. Anyway, it's kind of crazy because Dota is a game that has always been completely lost on me. I understood the very, very basics of how it worked. 3 lanes on the map, 5-on-5. You each pick a character. They have moves and stuff. You have there's these random little creatures in the world. You kill them to get money. You can buy stuff, and you're leveling up within the match as opposed to between matches and having an overall level. It's only within each match, and it's all about smashing the other team's tower at the end of their map, and then all the strategy and depth comes after that. So I understood that, but it's kind of like, the first time you ever worked out what ping pong was, you happened to be watching the Chinese national team play ping pong, you know what I mean? It was just watching them play, it was kind of completely bewildering, but they had a manager, a girl who was also brilliant at the game, and was like a former pro StarCraft player or something. Anyway, she kind of talked me through what was happening as they were playing they were kind of having sparring matches against another pro team. I'd say that's what they were doing. Another team that's going to go and be in this tournament, but they were kind of sparring each other. And she was explaining exactly what was going on. And man, that game is fucking... It kind of makes me wish that I could have been in a situation to have played that game, because I think it's not like a really complicated, slow game. It's a really fast-paced action game, and all the strategy that comes into it is all based on your roles within a team. So it kind of, in that respect, it reminded me of Battlefield. And I think that had we managed years ago, this game had existed years ago, and we all happened to, happen to be on whatever we were playing, different set of circumstances, parallel universes. If this had been a game we'd all got into 10 years ago and our lives were different, we would have fucking loved it. Because I can totally see all the appeal. It's very, very much a video game. It's not something like, it's not that StarCraft isn't, but that to me is always going to be a little bit above what I'm capable of in terms of my brain and my fucking reactions. But this was more just about, team-based strategy. And watching these guys play was amazing, really, that anybody could be that good at it. It was like watching they're the best. They've recently formed, but they've went to China, their first ever foreign team to win in China, all this crazy stuff. They've, like, out of all the tournaments they've been in, they've won basically every single match, and they're the favourites to go and win this thing. So yeah, it was crazy times. And like I said, I played the game a bit myself, and it's cool but very complicated, and I don't have anyone to play it with, so I can't see me playing it much more. But it is free if anyone wants to try it.
It's free?
It's completely free. Sorry, I just kicked my bin. It's completely free, and so is that League of Legends, which is a very similar game. But in League of Legends, you get, I think, 2 free characters, and then it rotates which characters you can have maybe every week. But in this one, it's completely free. All the characters are free, and what you pay for, if you want to, is cosmetic upgrades. But people get so into it that they end up paying a lot, and then they'll trade rare items with each other. So it has its own economy, and I think the rarest items go for like genuinely thousands of pounds, which is fucking nuts to me. But if I can pay what you want for the things that you want, it's just about supply and demand. And that's how Valve are making money hand over fist. So they seem to be focusing all their attention on this game now, and flying everyone out there for this massive tournament that's going to be streamed all across the world. And it's kind of a crazy thing that a whole giant culture within gaming that was kind of lost on me a few years ago. I didn't even really know what it is, and I'm just learning about it now.
No, I'm in the same boat as that. Do they just all happen to be Swedish, or is that like the national team?
It's not the national team. I think, that's probably the best way to describe it. They all happen to be Swedish. 2 of them have known each other since they were kids. Another 2 were mates and went on a different team. And then, they all formed and got another player. And sorry, I'm telling the story terribly, but the reason they're called the Alliance is because they're basically a coming together of 2 existing Swedish teams to form like a mega team. And they're all aged between like 21, 25. One guy's really quiet, but the other guy's like genuinely outgoing, smart, intelligent guy. Loads of interesting things to talk about outside of gaming. It's a really impressive bunch, to be honest.
So this is now their line of work, I assume.
Oh yeah. They're out there cleaning up in tournaments, then winning, like probably a few thousand each time each. So they're making decent money. But if they go and clean up at the internationals, suddenly they become rock stars because they're all going to win $200,000 to $300,000 each just from that tournament. And and obviously more sponsorships, more money. It's mad to see even the crowds that it attracts. Like, it is a world that they called it the new rock and roll games for years, and I always thought that doesn't really mean anything. But seeing the fucking fans, seeing the groupies, which is a weird thing to say, but it's true. The culture around it, now it's starting to make sense, even though it's not something that I even really consider gaming in the same way that what we do and what we talk about most of the time. But it was mad to see and be a part of, even for a brief amount of time.
Wow. That's more like Warcraft in that it tends to be an obsession. I mean, I don't know anyone who's a casual player of those kind of games.
I don't think you can, because I think the game's so demanding that if you were to just play it a bit, you just would be so shit at it that there's no point. Whereas in a game like you and I could pick up pretty much any shooter because we know that language inside out, upside down, and play it, and it would match us up. And it doesn't matter which one it is, an online shooter. But this type of game is so specific, and these people have been playing this type of game since Warcraft 3, since the original Dota, which is just a mod on Warcraft 3. That's all it was. And that was like however many years ago. So they just understand this weird language that is this MOBA genre that's kind of spawned out of that. And to try and learn all of that, it would be, you have to, it's a huge undertaking. You'd have to commit to it if you wanted to do it. You couldn't do it by halves.
Yeah, okay. Oh, interesting. So you haven't turned into a nut then? All of a sudden, you're not going to start getting bang into it and whatnot.
No, it seemed as I was watching him play, I was like, This looks really fun. You know, there's the reason it's made by Valve. You know, it's clearly a very, very good game and looks fun as fuck. But you'd need 4 other people to play it with. You'd need way more time than I have in my life, and you'd have basically almost have to jack in all other games, I think, to really get the most out of it.
Yeah.
Apart from like maybe handheld gaming and mobile gaming, you couldn't really play a Last of Us or something like that because you'd miss out on, you know, a week's worth of playing with your mates and then they'd leave you behind. You know, it's different.
Yeah, it's a completely different world. Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I will play that game sometime just to try.
We'll download it.
Yeah. Especially if it's free.
Yeah, it's free. So even if you just do the tutorial, just so at least so you can go, oh, okay, that's what this game is, and then play with a couple of games with bots, and then even check it in after that.
But then you won't hear from me for like 3 weeks, and I'll be like, I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. You know, games that are that compulsive, I try and stay away from.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, my number 7. My number 7 is R.I.P.D. the game on the Xbox 360.
What's R.I.P.D. not the game?
R.I.P.D. is a movie starring Jeff Bridges and not Ryan Fleet. What's his name? You know, fucking Van Wilder. What's his name?
Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, have you not seen the trailer for it?
No.
It looks like it should be quite good. Apparently, it's absolutely appalling. It's about a guy. R.I.P.D. is like everyone's dead police department, and they sort of police the afterlife. It sounds like it should be great, and it's apparently, by all accounts, it's shit. The game is as bad as the last one I spoke about, but in a just even less. I can't even get angry about it. It's just fucking terrible. It's another Xbox Live arcade game, also available on PSN and PC. It starts okay. The cel-shaded comic panels tell the basics of the story, and that's quite nice. It's exactly the same story they tell at the beginning of the trailer, blah, blah, blah. And then the game starts. It's a third-person shooter, and it's co-op, so there's 2 of you, and there's this new gameplay mode that they've devised where you fight waves of enemies. Once you've killed them all, then there's another wave of enemies. And
sweet.
I've never seen that before, and I've never seen it before in a third-person shooter. It's incredible. The frame rates are made. I mean, this is what. Xbox Live arcade games, downloadable games, the amount of times the frame rate is fucked from the second they come out, and you're just like, how did this? It's like there is no testing. It's like they just throw things out completely unfinished. The problem with frame rate across sort of downloadable games on consoles is just like it's a recurrent problem. But the collision detection is terrible, which is I haven't said collision detection since the fucking Super Nintendo era.
Yeah.
But you go for melee kills and you get them. You have to be in a very narrow space, and then headshots don't take. It basically doesn't work. Spells unlock as you play. There's this I got this invisible man spell where you send an invisible man out, which is supposed to be a distraction, but they can't see him, so it doesn't do anything. And I don't even know what it is. It's like Scourge Outbreak. I don't know who it's for. I don't know who could possibly want to play it. It's made by Old School Games, who made God Mode like 2 or 3 months ago, which I really hated, but some people said was okay. It's the same thing, but even worse. It looks worse. The environments are drab. It doesn't appear to work properly. The demo is really generous, so if you're interested, knock yourself out. But you have to find a co-op partner, and I couldn't find anybody playing it. So it must be another one of those games where nobody's bought it, and nobody should buy it because it's absolutely fucking god awful. R.I.P.D. the game. It's just absolute crap. It's another third-person action game that's made for nobody, and there's no invention, nothing. It's just garbage.
That sounds wank.
It's as wank as Scourge Outbreak, and I don't say that lightly.
Does it have Ryan Reynolds in it?
A vague approximation of Jeff Bridges, but it's not their voices. It's one of the worst movie tie-ins I've played in a long time, and they're all awful by and large. I mean, it's just fucking. It's the ultimate shovelware. Why is it here? Nobody wants it. Get the fuck out of my office.
There's a Pacific Rim game, isn't there?
Oh, I've heard bad things about that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fucking shit. I haven't even seen even a screenshot of all the things as well. That could be such a good game.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that sounds R.I.P.D.
It's diabolical.
That's a shit name. All right, my number 6 is Rock Band 3 of all things. The reason I played this is because I had so much fun playing that Guitar Hero machine the other day that I decided to get the guitar out, find some batteries, and do a bit of Rock Band 3. And thoroughly enjoyable it was too. Played a massively long set list of all my favourite tunes, just thrashing out on a guitar. I have nothing interesting to say, really. It's fucking Rock Band. Everybody knows what Rock Band is. I'm still quite good at it, which surprised me. Rock Band is really hard compared to Guitar Hero in terms of the hard tracks.
No, you're off your nuts. I mean, it's a joke how hard Guitar Hero gets, even on hard, let alone expert. You must be misremembering.
All I mean is how it's very tough on the hammer-ons and pull-offs. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
It's tough, way tougher on the timing on that one on Rock Band than it is on Guitar Hero. The note charts get way more complicated in Guitar Hero, I would agree. But stuff that should be easy on Rock Band is harder than I think perhaps it should be. It doesn't even matter, because who the fuck plays these games anymore? But it was fun. It was fun as fuck. They're still fun, but I think that was enough. I didn't need to play any more than what I played.
Well, I mean, you played it on your own.
Yeah,
that's probably why. I'll probably speak.
To do full bandage would be fun as hell. Yeah. I want a drum. I'm definitely up for drumming.
Funny enough, just this weekend just gone, I met my mate's new girlfriend. She's from Denmark, and she was like, "Oh, my favourite thing. No one liked to do it. It was like a really niche thing. Her and her friends used to do was play Rock Band." I was like, "Oh, I've got the full set." She's like, "You've got to come up at the weekend, and we're gonna." So either this weekend or next, we're gonna have a massive Rock Band fest.
Oh man.
So that'll be gleam. I'll probably talk about it then. And I've just funny earlier today. I thought I might get the drums out because my girlfriend bought me those portable drums that you put on a table, same as the normal ones. But I've never used them.
Yeah, I gave those to my brother.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll speak about it at some point in the future. My number 6 is a game called Hidden in Plain Sight on the Xbox 360.
I'm aware of this game.
Yeah, I am aware of it also because I've been hearing about it many times over the last few years, and I don't know why. I mean, I've been meaning to play it for 2 years. I mean, I think through 2011. Yeah, it came out in sort of 2011. I know from the guy that made its blog he's just put it on Ouya, so you can buy it if you're one of the 2 people that bought on Ouya, and I think it's on other platforms as well. I don't know why it's taken me this long to play it, but it's a work of genius. But it's also a work of genius 5 times over because there is 5 gameplay modes and all of them are absolutely ingenious, and it's 80 Microsoft points. It's a joke. It's up there in the pantheon with the greatest XSplit games there is, and it's just a fantastic party game. Do you know how it works?
No.
Okay, sorry, ignore that. The first, I'll explain how simple it is. The first mode is called Ninja Party, and basically it's always top down, and there's probably about between 30 and 40 little characters walking around in all sorts of different directions. The rules of Ninja Party, it's up to 4 players. I highly recommend you play it with 4 people. You can play it with 3 or 2, but not 1. First rule of every game type is find yourself. So there's all of these characters. You don't know which one you are. So you have to move in a sort of unique way. So you can say, oh, yeah, that's that guy walking in circles. But some of them are walking, it's really difficult. So the first thing I did to try and find myself was tap, tap, tap. So I'd do little pigeon steps to one direction. And then I was like, oh, there's my guy. Everyone else found out where I was as well because they heard my thumbstick going.
Right.
Basically, on the first mode, there's all these coins everywhere. You have to, different mode, ignore that. You have to kill other players. You have to find other players out of this 30 or 40, one of the other 4. Either kill all the other players or touch 5 statues, which are in the 4 corners and the middle. And every time you walk over a statue, it makes a ding noise. So you have to keep an eye on who. You know what? It's really difficult to describe.
I think I'm following you.
Even when the instructions come up on the screen the first time you play it, okay, I'll try and figure it out. Anyway, it's uproariously funny. That's one mode. The second mode is catch a thief. 2 of you are thieves. You have to find yourself first, and then you have to collect coins, but don't get shot because the other 2 are sniper reticules and they'll shoot you. So you're watching the screen intently, seeing where the coins disappear from. There's a slight delay, so they don't disappear immediately. Otherwise, it would be too easy.
Yeah.
They take a little while, and that's just hilarious. You've only got 1 bullet. You can you can modify all of the settings. So if you want to have 10 sniper shots, that's fine. If you want to change all of the variables, you can. There's death race where it's like those old horse gambling machines with all the characters walking across the screen. You hold A to walk, Y to run. You've each got 1 bullet, so you're controlling people walking and targeting reticules. As soon as you see someone run for the finish line, you can shoot them. So talking about it does nothing to describe how joyous it is as a game. The other one, the fourth one, is Death Race. Death Race is that one. I'm getting completely mixed up. Knights versus Ninjas is the other one. 2 knights, 2 ninjas. The ninjas have to kill the royal family. The knights have to protect them. Assassin's Creed is very reminiscent of the sort of game types that were in the latest Assassin's Creed and the previous 2. It's unbelievable. Talking about it seems completely futile. It's like trying to describe any great game, let alone Xbox Live indie games. It's like trying to describe how brilliant Mount Your Friends is to somebody. You just have to put it in someone's hand and they'll understand it immediately. If you've got 3 friends who you can get around an Xbox, it's 80 Microsoft points. It's absolutely one of the best games on the service. It's more like a board game. It has that, the sort of rare in co-op games or any games that you sort of given the opportunity to really scheme against each other. And it's just, you will laugh your fucking arse off. A few beers, as everyone says. That's when I read the last recommendation I saw, they're just like, get some friends together, have a few beers, and that is the perfect way to experience it. It's hilarious and ingenious, hidden in plain sight. It's probably available on is it iOS? I'm sure it isn't. But it'll probably be on PC, and it's probably on other platforms like Android, I guess. Will it? I don't know if it'll be on mobile platforms, thinking about it. But it's on Xbox Live Indie Games. Just find it and find some way to play it and get it done.
That sounds fun as hell. But as I've said many times, I'm never in a situation to play something like that.
Well, I'll make that sort of situation happen as much as I can, because it is, honestly, you will laugh yourself stupid. It's a work of genius, seriously.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds fun as hell.
It is.
All right. My number 5 then is a game that I've been wanting to play for ages. Chivalry, Medieval Warfare on PC. Have you heard of this game?
I don't think I have, no.
Okay, so Modern Warfare, as we all know, is a game where you run around and shoot people with guns. This is a game where you run around with a fucking sword and hack people up. In the first person, it's exactly what it is. It's fucking knights, but a deathmatch game. But in fact, it's more than a deathmatch game. There's team-based modes. There's a mode that's similar to Rush, where you have like scaling objectives, and it's really good. It's on the cheaper end of PC games, so it looks nice in parts, but it's not like, you forgive it the odd rough bit of animation here, or the odd, the sound isn't recorded particularly well. But fundamentally, you can pick from like 4 class types, like a quite fast bloke, an archer, a big, heavy broadsword guy, and another guy I couldn't quite work out. And yeah, you go and have sword fights with people, basically. You can block, you can parry, there's different types of swings. You can fucking hack someone's arm off. I love games where you can hack people's arms off. Fucking love it. That's what I wanted. And when you kill them, they just writhe on the floor for ages, sort of going, which, again, I definitely got something wrong with me. Anyway, the only problem I had with the game is that it's been out for a while, and everyone that I was playing with, it's not like on Xbox where you get matched up with people who are also retarded, and then, you get better and better. It is PC, so you have to select a server, and the full ones are unsurprisingly full of fucking geniuses at Chivalry. So I was basically just getting fucking smashed, and the odd kill there and here and there was a treat. But basically, it was just a nightmare. So I'm not really too sure what to do about that sort of situation. It's too hard to really enjoy, which is a shame, because I ended up not playing it on mouse and keyboard. I was playing it on a controller, and I was going, this would be a riot on Xbox with a few mates, an absolute riot. But it's just too hard to play it like this. And it's not the game's fault. It's just, that's the only problem I have with it. It's fucking fun, though. Yeah. It's very, very good.
How old is it?
A year.
Wow, I'd never heard of it.
Maybe. Yeah, it became like the in-game on Steam. It might not even be that old. Excuse me. Yeah, I just heard everybody talking about it on Reddit Gaming and on NeoGAF and things like that. And I can see why. It's the type of game that couldn't exist on consoles, because it needs to be big enough that it couldn't just be like a little indie game. It probably could be an Xbox Live Arcade game now, but even a year ago it probably couldn't have been, just on the way those things are scaled. But there's no way you could ever charge full price for it. I think it was like 12 quid maybe, but it went down to I think 3 quid in the Steam sale, which is why I got it. But yeah, just running up and piking a motherfucker. Yeah.
That sounds gleam. Why did that not? That sounds like console compatible completely as well.
Yeah, I mean it works beautifully on the controller, but I don't know. I mean, there is the side of things where you need a publisher, don't you? At the moment, if you're going to publish on Xbox Live Arcade, this is something that I'm learning only in the last few months of all the drama about the new consoles. So I'm guessing I think it's like a self-published game on Steam. So the hassle of getting onto that, I don't know. The myriad reasons, but yeah, great stuff, but needs matchmaking.
Yeah.
But then someone will probably tell me on Twitter, it's like, oh, you're an idiot, just fucking do this. And then I'll have way more fun when I learn that, which always happens.
Right. That sounds fucking great. That's a shame.
It really is good fun. It really is. And everyone charges in, like the beginning of a thing. Some of the quite big team matches, like 8-on-8, I think. And everyone's just like, rah! And they all charge in, not on the mics in the game, the men are like that. And yeah, I like games. I like fucking hitting things a lot. I like chopping people's arms off. And
men screaming loudly.
Yeah, I just do. I just accepted that about myself a few years ago.
Okay, no, it's fair enough. Damn, that's a shame. That sounds really fucking cool as well.
No, mate, it's fucking pure meathead. You know me. It's like the spirit of that Spartacus game, but actually good.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. There's got to be a rip-off on a console somewhere on that X-Blig. I might have to try and look into that. Cause that's
but that would be pwn. This is quite high production values, really. Like, it's sort of old B grade, The game that would be, it's exactly what it is, but it would be 20 quid on PC, which is pretty much what it is. It used to come in a big box.
Okay, all right, cool. Right, okay. Shit, it's a shame I can't play that.
It's fun as piss.
Maybe
have a look on Huge. Watch a bit on Huge.
I will. Genuine. Okay, right. My number 5 is Thomas Was Alone on the Mac. I bought it many months ago when Mike Bithell said, thanks to everyone, here's it for cheap. So I downloaded it for £2 or something, £3 on the Mac. Someone mentioned it on Twitter, and I thought enough's enough. It's been sitting on my desktop for too long, so I booted it up. I don't have massive amount. The problem with coming to a game like this so late is that everything's already been said.
Yeah.
It's really rather lovely. It's. I really love the sort of the narration. I mean, I don't really know Danny Wallace. I've never listened to him on the radio or seen him on TV or whatever. So I always associate him with that twat he plays in Assassin's Creed. So it's quite nice that he's genuinely quite amiable and pleasant. And I love the Truman Show vibe at the beginning with this block observing all the tropes of platform games and stuff like that. It's just really fucking lovely. I think I'm about 3/4 of the way through. The puzzles are genuinely clever and so. I mean. I don't know if it changes afterwards, but
there's 100 levels, so you can work out exactly where you are.
I think I'm on world 4 or world 3.
So yeah, do you know there's 10 worlds, I think. So
is that right?
It's surprisingly long.
Oh wow. Oh okay, because I'd always heard that it was short. I don't know.
Everyone says it's short, but it took me about 5 or 6 hours at least. So yeah.
Oh, I thought I was getting towards the end. But the puzzles are genuinely clever, and the solution is always the other blocks. I don't know if that changes, but so far there's no sort of things to get your head around. It's just balancing blocks on top of each other, lifting the little ones up with the big ones and stuff like that.
It never runs out of ideas. I
mean, it's been non-stop so far. Just so much mileage out of that concept. Most games would have sort of tried to throw in sort of other bells and whistles, but the fact that they're just constantly ingenious, and it's. Again, I don't know if it gets difficult later, but it's quite easy and straightforward.
No, it doesn't really. There's a few head scratchers, but nothing that.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's similar to Portal. Like you'd be like, oh, how the hell do you do this? And then 5 minutes later, you're like, oh, of course it's easy.
Yeah. I mean, platformers tend to be difficult just as a rule, and it's no less pleasurable for being quite straightforward. At least as far as I've played. It's also incredibly accessible. I don't understand at this point why it hasn't appeared on iOS. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I don't know really. I can see it working quite well on X. It doesn't demand a huge amount of dexterity, does it? You can do it on the touchscreen. Yeah,
I think it would work. I think it would work absolutely brilliantly. And it could be a bit of a hit.
Appear on there. I think he did the PC and then was working on the PlayStation version. So maybe in the next one he might farm it out or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I think it could be a bit of a sort of sleeper. I mean, I think it would fit perfectly. I played it on the Mac anyway, but yeah, it's really tremendous so far. My only complaint with it is that the beginning, the levels are very short, but there's long stretches of dialogue. And I was enjoying hearing all the talk. But if you complete a level, it chops that bit short and then starts another one. So I had to sort of wait by the door a few times for him to stop speaking and then move through. Which was unfortunate, but otherwise, I mean, it's quite marvellous so far. But I'll speak more about it when I've finished it, probably.
Yeah, I think he lived down the road from you, and you lived in Tooting. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, anyway.
Random. I love that game. I've talked about it loads. It's really nice on Vita as well. I'm looking forward to whatever he does next. Sweet. All right, my number 4 is Pikmin. Pickers 3. Now, I actually did a bit about this. But because we didn't do an episode last week, it was due to be number 1 of the episode that we were going to do last week, if that makes sense. And we recorded it, didn't we, after the previous podcast. If you want to hear that, then my proper lengthier thoughts on Pikmin 3, you can check it out on the YouTube channel. Or did you say you were going to stick it at the end of this podcast?
I'll put it after the credits at the end if people want to hear it, yeah.
So, I'll try not to reiterate what I say there, but it's fairly... I haven't actually played a huge amount more of it than that, but I've still got enough to say. Anyway, Pikmin 3. It's fantastic. I was very pleased to see that the other reviews... I did the video game review, which incidentally is their new style of reviews. You should definitely go and check that out. I really like the idea of they're doing the short reviews and then other content beyond that. Anyway, I'll get to the point in a minute. It's a lovely game. I was really happy to see all the other reviews seem to be agreeing with me. Lots of 9s out there. It's just Nintendo doing what Nintendo can do better than everybody else. Layers upon layers upon layers of intricate puzzles that kind of peel themselves off like an onion, and then Pikmin, and then you have this kind of ingenious world laid before you, coated with a kind of charm and spirit and wit that other people just don't have the capability, the time, the skill to actually manage. It's just pure classic Nintendo, and it's a marvellous game. The Wii U's not having the best of times at the moment. There's a lot of talk at the moment about the sales figures, although I think they're actually the shipped-in figures, and it just seems like they might be consolidating. Anyway, if you have a Wii U, or if you're on the fence about getting a Wii U, Pikmin 3 is a marvellous game. If you have a Wii U, get it. If you're on the fence, what I said in my article on Video Gamer, this could be the catalyst to start turning the Wii U into something that you need to be interested in, with this coming out this month, Wonderful 101, which seems really good. Hopefully it will be next month.
Yeah.
In what's definitely going to be the best version of Rayman Legends, which by all accounts is as good as it seems. Also in August or maybe September. Then you've got Wind Waker in October, Donkey in November, Mario in December. I've said this before, but if they start hitting that month on month, then the Wii U will be... Everyone will be talking about it like they are with the 3DS at the moment. And that's all it needs. It needs the fucking hits. You can do it. It doesn't need third-party games. It needs the hits.
Yeah, true. I haven't played it yet, but I will hopefully have played it before next week even. I can't bloody wait. And it seems
it's brilliant.
It seems to have sold all right. I mean, you don't know what it takes to get to number 2 these days, but it seems to have done okay.
Yeah, and I think it'll have a long, like their games. It'll have a long tail. It won't be like, normal console games. It'll be around for a long time.
Yeah, but Nintendo it takes ages for them to drop the price of their first party stuff. So, hopefully word of mouth will be good. I can't wait. I'll probably speak about it next week.
Yeah, it's a marvelous piece of work from geniuses, and it's. I said this in the other thing the other week, but this feels like the first proper Wii U game from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo Land was its own thing. That Mario game's brilliant, but it's a 2D Mario, very similar to the Wii one, very similar to the 3DS one and whatnot. But this feels like, okay, now we're going. It should have been a launch game, really, but then it wouldn't have been as good as it is. So.
Exactly.
What can you do?
Indeed. Okay, my number 4 is One Finger Death Punch on the Xbox 360. I won't talk about it for too long. I'm writing a review of it, or I wrote a review of it, I should say. So I just wanted to sort of go back and smash it a bit more to see if it's as good as I thought it was. It is. I've also been sort of continuing to tour it around alongside Mount Your Friends, just as a duo to show people, and they never fail to get the most amazing response. They're incredible. Well, One Finger Death Punch in particular. Well, not because they're any better, but I'm talking about One Finger Death Punch. Shut up. It wouldn't exist without XPlig, and the price point is just ridiculous. 80 Microsoft points, that couldn't exist anywhere else. It goes. If there's one problem with it, it's that it goes on a little bit too long because there's 3 difficulty modes, and if you want to sample them, you have to complete the game first, and that involves doing 250 or so levels.
Yeah.
And annoyingly, you can't zoom out of the map, so you can't see how much is left, which is a bit frustrating. But it's the kind of game that I just turned it on before I played anything else and just did like 10 or so levels, and it was just always just an absolute pleasure, and just technically bordering on being faultless. For an indie game to have achieved how technically incredible it is quite something. The fact that it doesn't have online leaderboards is just such a terrible shame, because there's a feature where you get a high score and then you can immediately message all of your friends, which I did, and a couple of my friends immediately bought the game, and I got texts saying, I'm going to smash your high score, and I said, guys, there is no such thing, it can't be done, because there's no online leaderboards. This is all going to change with the Xbox One apparently, and it's going to have achievements and stuff like that, so hopefully that will no longer be a problem, because it's a terrible shame. That game should be, I mean, it's already, I hope, doing okay, because it's been getting lots of publicity.
Yeah.
I just hope that it would have done twice as well if online leaderboards were a thing. That's a shame. At the end of the game, there's a really lovely, really impassioned testimony from one of the creators, a little video clip with him thanking everybody for buying the game and keep indie games alive and tell people you want indie games. You know, I think it must have been at a point where Microsoft seemed to be abandoning indie games altogether, which now it seems like that's not the case. But it's a really lovely little video. He's like, make your own game. You know, it's a lovely little video at the end. And the ideas never stop coming. You think it's not going to be any more inventive, and it is. There's defender levels where you're rebounding knives that are thrown at you. There's a bit where you have to fight bosses, like 2 bosses at once, which is a real head fuck. And there's thunderstorm rounds where you can't quite see. I mean, it just doesn't stop getting. It's brilliant. I absolutely adore it. It's. At the very least, try the trial. Apparently, it's coming. There's a trial on PC as well. So Google that shit. One Finger Death Punch by Silver Dollar Games. It's absolutely superb.
It's the shit. Yeah, I haven't played it for a few weeks, but it is the shit. It is the shit. I would love a Vita version at some point. That would be fucking ideal.
Yeah, I would.
But we shall see what happens on that one. I could see it happening. But in the meantime, go and get it in. 8 points. Get it in.
Yes.
Get it fucking in. Right, my number 3 is Metro, Last Light. I finally finished the bastard. And my God, did it crawl. I've got a lot of good things to say about Metro Last Light, and I've said a lot of them on previous podcasts, but have you ever had it with a game? You probably have, especially in the world of reviewing, where you just find yourself clutching the pad, just going, end, fucking end.
And of course,
the last, 2 hours of this game was me doing that. The game was done. There's a natural ending. It was done. The game was done. It just could have ended there easily. But for some reason, they felt the need to put another 2 hours on the back end of laborious combat. Do you know what? Things I fucking hate. Warehouse levels at the ends of games. Yeah. Don't do it. Shipyard levels at the ends of games. Don't do it. Juggernaut enemies with fucking body armor. Flamethrower enemies where you shoot the flame thing. All this got churned out towards the end of Metro Last Light. It's like you've done 8 hours of game beautifully. You know, it was an extremely unpleasant game that I don't even consider fun, but that was what you were going for, and the stuff on the surface with the gas mask was horrible, especially for someone who, I've said this before, but I'm very claustrophobic and I have trouble with hyperventilating and things, so that really, really gets to me. Incredibly effective. Last 2 hours really start to undermine all of that. And then, right at the end, it has this amazing scene where you kind of, I won't spoil it, but there's a few parts in the game where you walk through very, very crowded areas, and there's one towards the end. And it seems like something out of a great movie, but even then, just at a point where it could have just, with a bit of brevity and a bit of skill, not that there's no skill involved, there's an incredible amount of skill involved in the creation of this game, and I don't want to be rude, but, you know, I think they just needed an editor, really. They needed someone to come in and just go, I know you're probably married to some of these sections and you're trying to tell your story, of which I completely lost the thread of about halfway through, because there's a lot of talking and it's not interesting. That didn't help either. And yeah, they need someone to come in and go, boys, this is bollocks. You've made an amazing game. Let's pick out the 3 amazing moments from the last 2 hours, of which there are. There's some cool moments. Put them in, and then you're done, and you're out. You're done. That's your game, because so much good came before it, and it just left me. Well, you don't want to be, if you're a game creator, you do not want your player to be holding his part, screaming and at the screen.
Yeah.
You don't want that at any point. That would kill me. So if they thought my whole game was shit, so be it. But especially if they, like so much of the previous stuff, it's still amazed that they managed to make the game as well as they did from the circumstances that they have over in that studio. And the tech is amazing, but yeah, it crawls like a motherfucker.
There are loads of games that do that. I can't think of any. The only one that comes to mind is the one I spoke about, the XSplit game I spoke about on the last show. It's just like great ideas, and then it just recycles for a couple of hours. You're like, why didn't you just stop when you were ahead? I don't. There is that weird. It's happening less and less, but that tightrope of walking, like giving too much, trying to sort of give the illusion of too much content just by recycling shit. It really is infuriating. I know exactly what you mean. That's put me off. I've got it. It's still sat here. I haven't touched it yet, but.
It's still very, very good.
I'm sure.
And yeah, I think because I put it on because I felt like I was at the end, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to finish this now. So I did come in with that mindset a little bit because I just wanted to get it done. But it felt like Return of the King. Just okay, you're done now. It's over. And it's not. It only ends up being a 10-hour game, but fucking hell. But I'd still recommend it. I think the 7s that it got were very well justified in the end.
Okay. Well, I'll speak
Some
about it.
parts are world class. Class.
I'm sure. And I was a big fan, as falsy as it was occasionally, I was a big fan of the first one, so I'm looking forward to it still. Okay, all right. My number 3 is actually 2 games. I've just meshed it together. It's Mighty Switch Force 1 and Mighty Switch Force 2, both of which are on the 3DS. I think there's a Wii version of the Wii U version of the first one, and a Wii U version of the second one is on its way, apparently. I reviewed the second one for Games TM, so I bought the first one to try and see what the differences were. They're both... There's not a lot of differences between them in terms of quality. I think they're both good. They're the most good 6 out of 10... Never brilliant, never terrible, just straight down the line, good. You know what you're getting. It's like 6 out of 10. Fine, really good. They're platformers, and I didn't do a very good job of explaining last time, but the system is basically you're moving between the background and the foreground. So blocks that are in the background, when they're moved into the foreground, become switches. They can trap people, they can kill enemies, or they can catapult you or one of your enemies somewhere around. It's a really inviting and a pleasant system to control, and it's really Moorish. If I had to pick a favourite of the 2, it's the first one, because the first one is kind of faster. The first one, you've got a pellet gun, so it's also more of a shooter. In the second one, you've got a water cannon. It's still used for more or less the same thing, except there's bits of fire everywhere, and it's not really used. There are some bits where you find these sort of blocks that have pipes, so you can sort of fire your water through it, and it shoots off into different directions. But it's more for combat rather than puzzles. So the first one's faster. You set it. All of it's about score attack, really. You've set a time. Time attack, I should say. You set a really good time on a map, and then you can go back and go over it. The thing about the first one is that you can play through the whole game in one sitting and feel like you've done really well, and then just go back to perfect it. The second one is more about sort of trial and error, and the maps are slightly bigger, but the par times are much shorter. So it seems like, because there was a bit of a complaint initially that the first one was quite short. Although it's the same length in terms of levels, it seems like they've made an effort to try and make it seem like it's a little bit bigger and more substantial, when it kind of sort of fucks with the game systems. I think it's much more fun to race through it and then go back and go over your... It's a bit more sort of exciting, a bit more seat of your pants, sort of endlessly walking around and taking your time with it when it's supposed to be a time attack game, just ever so slightly less enjoyable than the first one. But they're both very good. They're very entertaining. What's bizarre about them is that they've both... The first one more so than the second, but both times, if you go and look on like Metacritic or find a review, someone will always say it's too short. They're about 16 levels long each, and I think there is additional levels on the first one. And it's £5. It's 2, maybe 3 hours if you're only going to do it once, and it's £5. It's like, that's completely reasonable. What more do you want? But at the same time, I felt the same thing. I'm like, they are a little bit short. But maybe that's just a weird. Maybe it's just accepting this new. I mean, £5 is the perfect asking price. I don't know why it feels insubstantial. Maybe it's just because it's never brilliant. They're really good, but never like, wow, that was really clever. They're really entertaining. I don't want to put them down, but I don't know. I was expecting when I first started playing, I was like, "This is going to be the shit." They're going to mess around with all sorts of stuff, but it doesn't really happen. It's good. They're good. They're solid. £5. I'd recommend both. £5 a piece. If you're going to pick one, get the first one. But yeah, they're nice games, entertaining, good, but they're not amazing.
I do struggle with a 6 out of 10 game these days.
Yeah, I appreciate them, but they're difficult to recommend because there's fucking 9s all over the shop, especially on the fucking 3DS. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's just the standard at the moment. It's just crazy.
Sky high, yeah.
All right. Yeah, maybe a few years ago, or maybe when the 3DS first came out, but yeah, not now. All right, my number 2 is Bastion, a game I talked about a few times in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I finally got a chance to sit down with it properly today, in fact, and yesterday, and it's superb. I was so happy that I got a chance to play it, because when it came out on Xbox, I thought it was a different type of game to what it was. I looked at the screenshots, which are this isometric, and it looks like everything's grid-based, and I thought it was like Disgaea, like a really big, heavy, turn-based strategy RPG. No problem with that type of game, but no time for it either.
Yeah.
Whereas it isn't like that at all. It's an action game with action/dungeon crawler, but more hands-on than your standard dungeon crawler. But as everybody knows, I'm sure, and I'm talking about a game that's quite old and everybody probably knows about anyway, so I won't bang on about it too much. The main hook is, one, the world builds itself around you as you move, which is just a really cool effect. It doesn't really affect the gameplay at all, but it just looks wicked. And the coolest thing about it is the voiceover, and that it completely makes the game. There's no two ways about it. The voiceover makes the game. It is a mixture of a Wild West storyteller in a saloon and a classic noir private dick, very Sin City style, talking about what you do. You play as the kid, and the way it's done is just it's fucking brilliant. It will talk directly about what you're doing at the time, and also it's slowly telling you a story at the same time. And the reason I actually put this after Metro on my list, even though I played it less than Metro, because I wanted to make this point. The thing that started to kill me with Metro was that there would be a fucking 3 or 4 minute conversation between two Russian blokes about a load of boring shit, and then there'd be another one, and then there'd be another one, and they'd go on and on and on and on and on, and all right, it's not right, they're not writing in their first language, blah, 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 but bottom line is, it doesn't matter what language it is. It was too long, too boring, too much exposition, completely laborious. Bastion will tell that amount of story within 4 words. There's no hanging about. It's managed to create a world, a universe, lore, all in the space of a few sentences. You'll find something out in the world, and you can go back to what's called the Bastion, which is your hub, and speak to the guy that does the voiceover. Is actually a character in the game, and you can ask him about one of these items in the thing, and he will explain it to you in a really cool way in 9 words, and you'll be like, I know so much more about this world that I'm playing in now for that. That's just skillful writing. And that writing is what propels you through the game. The action itself is good. You know, it's somewhere between a dungeon crawler and a twin stick shooter. There's parrying. There's you can roll to evade, but ultimately it just seemed to trying to spam you with enemies, and you just have to roll around everywhere and try and hold on. There's not a massive amount of depth to it. It doesn't seem. There's new weapons. You can level up weapons, all that sort of crap. You've seen that before, but it's all about the style. Apparently it's not that long either, which really suits me at the moment, because I can't be doing with it's like a 100-hour epic. And for £1.74 on Steam, ridiculous. I'm just so happy that I did play it, and I play it. And also the music's amazing. Fuck, it's a great game. It really is.
I'm exactly the same as you. When I heard about it, I kind of compartmentalised it in my brain somewhere, thinking I will never be interested in that, because I thought it was something completely different than what it is. Fuck. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for when if they ever discount that on Xbox, because
trial it up on Xbox. See what you think.
Sounds fucking interesting. I mean, it's one of those games where I just like, that's not interesting in the slightest. I don't know. I thought it was something different to you. I thought it was like more of an action RPG, but I was just like, no thanks. Wow. Fuck. That sounds really interesting.
It is an action RPG, but it's not like any other type of action RPG. It's fucking difficult to explain.
Yeah.
But in terms of how the gameplay works, I mean, it is by default, by definition, an action RPG because there's RPG elements and it's real-time action. But it feels more like an action game in terms of the moment-to-moment combat with the rolling, with the parrying, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll definitely.
But it's the style, man. The writing.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do impressions, so I should do an impression of the guy. You'd do a good one, but I don't want to spoil it. But it is brilliant. And the fact it does it as you're playing, like reactively. It's not like a script that's just being read through, like Thomas Was Alone. It's actually reacting a lot of the time to what you're doing. Brilliant. Such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Couldn't be done in any other medium either.
Okay, that sounds really, really cool. You think don't bother with the iOS version?
No, I'm very glad I played it. It needs. I'm sure the iOS version is fine, but I knew straight away that it needed direct control to get the most out of it, and it definitely does.
Okay, all right, cool. Okay, all right. My number 2 is a game called Mars Warlogs on the Xbox 360. It's 3 or 4 months old. It originally came out on the PC, and it's just hitting Xbox Live Arcade. I don't know for definite if it's on PSN or not. Have you heard about it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I've heard about something like this.
Yeah, it's a third-person. I'd say it's an action RPG, but it's not really. It's quite the RPG. It's if you're the kind of person who's really fed up of this whole influx of action RPGs, where the action is sort of 50% of the pie. This is much more old school. It's much more reminiscent of The Witcher. That was an action RPG too, but this is a lot. The action has a lot less to do with it. It's all about crafting and scavenging and skill points and perks and conversation trees and morality and all that stuff. It's a lot more of an involved RPG. It's really imperfect, but I couldn't help thinking of State of Decay.
Okay.
Primarily because, incidentally, it looks kind of like State of Decay. I don't know if they were made on a similar engine, but it looks very similar. But because this is the environments are smaller, there are none of the technical hiccups that State of Decay has. There's none of the frame rate issues or just the random sort of bugs that are in State of Decay. This is a much slicker game. But in the same way that you said when you were playing it, that this is going to be some people's favourite game ever. I felt like that playing this. It's not my favourite game ever, but I know people who are going to fall absolutely madly in love with it. But like I said, it's imperfect. One thing I'll say about it. It's one of the most dead serious games I've played in a long time. There is no humour. It opens with an attempted rape in a prison. The only thing that's wrong with that is that the voice acting's so fucked, and that the NPCs aren't particularly sophisticated. That it kind of it's tough to sort of. They want it to be a really hard hitting bit, and it's not quite. It's set on Mars, obviously. It's Mars that's sort of a little bit Total Recall. It's a little bit Fallout 3, I should say, and it's a little bit Alien 3. And also primarily, I think that's because there's so many sort of cockneys walking around. There's nothing original about it. It starts out you're in a prisoner of war camp, and the chapter 1 is you breaking out, and then the rest. There's only 3 chapters, but the rest of the game is set outside the prison, and it's just standard RPG stuff. You've done it all before, but it's genuinely branching. So there's all sorts of decisions that you make that genuinely. It's one of those. Halfway through, I sat back and I thought, wow, so much work has gone into making sure that all of these things build to a certain conclusion. And all of these, there's one very, very finite sort of decision that you have to make, which will completely skew the story about sort of towards the back end of the game, which you can save before if you want to avoid it. But it's really, it's. They haven't skimped on any of that stuff. It's genuinely branching stuff that you ignore doing, and can have repercussions. It's also reminded me a little bit of Infamous, because the currency in the game, which is also health, is a serum. Yeah, serum. And it's quite scarce, so you can be either good or bad. When you've finished having a fight with someone, you can kneel down and sort of extract serum from them, and that kills them, or you can leave them alone. And obviously, doing one or the other affects merchant prices and interactions with other people and stuff like that. It is humorless and dead serious, but in some cases it's quite effective. I mean, it opens with this voiceover about how miserable war is, and it's actually really quite evocative and well done. It's very narrow. There's lots of NPCs forming invisible walls, and they never speak to you. So you're always blocked off. It's not. It feels like it should be open, and it's not. You're always. I mean, it is open. You are free to do everything in your own way, but it's a lot of corridors, even when they shouldn't really feel like corridors. It's a real trial by fire with regards to the combat because it demands that you learn it quite quickly. And there are times when it says maybe you don't want to go this way because you might want to level up your combat first. But if you go that way, whenever you're in combat, you can't until you leave your combat stance. You can't open doors. You can't run away. You have to have the fight. So you have to lose loads of fights and then keep going out the door. It's just a fault with the game.
Right.
It's not original. But I've really liked it, and the seriousness was kind of refreshing. There are minor technical difficulties. I mean, there's the attack reaction when you get hit by someone. The reaction animation is quite long-winded. So if there's a crowd spamming you, you can just stand there going. As you level up, that happens less and less. I mean, there's moves that sort of get faster and stuff. It's all about leveling up. It's so involved, and so much of RPG fans are going to love it. If you think that sort of Mass Effect's a fucking action game, and you love the RPG elements, this is, I wouldn't say hardcore because it is quite accessible. But yeah, I really liked it. There's a weird. The thing that's weird about it is that the character names seem to be like the woman who helps you and sort of gives you a place to hide, and sort of her name's Charity, and the kid you've got underneath your wing who you show sort of. His name's Innocence, and I'm just like, I don't know why they did this. Calling all these characters by who they are seemed a bit weird. It's imperfect, but it's really surprisingly interesting. It takes itself very seriously. It's an interesting enough story, and yeah, it's made by a development team called Spiders. Have you heard of them?
No, not at all.
This might be wrong, but I think it's 5 people, and if that's the case, it's incredible. There's a trial available on Xbox Live. I think people should have a look at it. I don't know whether they'll start you at the beginning or not, but you should check it out. It's RPG fans, especially if you're the kind of person who thinks that all the other stuff just polluted RPGs, because it is all about sort of skill trees and all about the conversation, managing your morality and stuff like that, looting, crafting, really involved crafting system. I really liked it. It's not naturally the kind of game I'd gravitate towards, but it's pretty damn good, I think.
That does sound cool. It sounds very cool, very interesting.
I also like the delivery. I love this delivery. It's about 10 hours long. Perfect. That's what I want. All games to be 1,200 Microsoft points and be £10. That's what I want. 10 hours long. It's like part of me's done with 4. I mean, there are exceptions, obviously, but this seems like the perfect. There's so little fucking about. Here's the game. It's 10 hours long. There you go. There's very little dicking around. Yeah, I think it's worth a look at the trial at the very least.
Mars Warlogs, eh?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the title.
Yeah, weird title. But I might have a look see if there's a demo on PC as well.
I'm sure there will be. I think it's actually part of this. I don't know if the Steam sale's even on anymore.
No, it's finished now.
Okay.
I think it was, but I didn't know what it was, so I didn't have a look. That sounds cool.
It's definitely more interesting. At first, I wasn't sure, but as it went on, I was like, "Wow, this is actually." It's what you can dislike things about it, but you have no doubt that the people making it—that's the game they wanted to make.
Yeah, sure.
So it's tough not to admire that. Yeah, it's worth find the trial if you can.
Right. Oh yeah, we'll do. Cool. My number one, brilliantly from what you just said, the game that they wanted to make, perfect. My number one. Maybe technically I played this game less hours. I've been a bit cheeky this week, but I wanted to talk about it last because I played it today from finishing work until just before we started, maybe an hour and a half before we started. Anyway, it's called To the Moon. Have you heard of this game?
Yes, I definitely have. I'm not sure which one it is, though.
Okay, so I've been hearing about this game. It came out in November 2011. I've been hearing about it probably this year, people talking about this game. I didn't really know anything about it other than it was supposed to be quite emotional. That's all I'll say. I kind of want to talk about this. When we do this podcast, we get quite full on, obviously, and we want to deliver things in a certain way and make it engaging. But I kind of feel like now, if you're in an office, you'd sit on the corner of the desk and say, "Let's rap for a while," like a fucking dickhead. That's how I want to talk about this game because it really did. It did like it fucking got me in a way. To the Moon is simply put, one of the most like beautiful creations I have ever come across in any medium. It was absolutely astounding, an astounding piece of work that I absolutely love it. It could be, and I'm prone to hyperbole, as we know, but it could be could easily be my favourite game that I've ever played.
What?
Honestly, just thinking about it now, I only finished it. The game's about probably it took me about 3.5 hours, I'd say. I did it all in one sitting, and it just absolutely blew me away. Absolutely fucking blew me away. It was just wonderful. It's a wonderful piece of work. So I'll explain it briefly. It is a 16-bit graphicked point-and-click game, basically, with a small amount of puzzling, and it's mainly exploration and small amount of puzzling, exploration, and pushing along a story. Now, the story is high concept. Right, okay. It's about a guy called Johnny who's dying. He's in bed dying, right? And he is at some point signed up for this program where these people will come and they can grant you your whatever wish you want for your life by basically using an inception machine and going inside your memory, viewing your life in reverse, and then planting an idea basically in your mind, and then that you become that person in your memories and do what you wanted to do, right? And what Johnny wanted to do was go to the moon. What follows from there, which is a daft concept, but they never really worry too much about over-explaining it or over-sciencifying it, and there's always a light edge to everything in this game that's as beautifully written as it is and as delicate as it is. It's also very funny. What then follows is you play as one of these two doctors, the man and a woman. The man's called Watts and the woman's called, I can't believe I've forgotten this already since I've just played it. Her first name's Eva anyway. Her surname begins with an R, but it's escaping me for some reason. And you go backwards through Johnny's life, and he's just him as an old man has just lost his wife 2 years ago. So you kind of go back through. I won't spoil any of this game. I won't really talk about it much more than the basics. You go back through and kind of explore the relationship with his wife and all this sort of stuff. And it deals with obviously life and death and choice and things like that, but it also deals with like issues like autism and things like that. It's all done by one guy, ostensibly this Chinese American. I think his name is Gao Kan. He was also a pianist and a musician, and much of the game is underpinned by this beautiful score that he's done himself. A lot of it, which is diegetic. People play the piano in the game, and even though there's not a huge amount of gameplay to it, there are puzzles to solve. There's like a quite fun tile puzzle that comes up regularly, which isn't too hard, and there's like clues to find. It's just a beautiful story, honestly. It's a story that could have been done in a different medium, but the interactivity of it does lend everything that ends up happening a kind of gravity, because you do feel like you were directly involved, even though from a gamer point of view, the interactions are probably quite limited, and there's not a huge amount that you're doing. But it doesn't matter. And again, to go back to that point about Metro, this game never fucks about. You know, it never. If there's a menial task for you to do, it will just cut you straight to the point where you're either doing it or you've already done it and you're back where you need to be. It doesn't feel the need for you to walk all the way to the place and walk all the way back, all that kind of thing. And it somehow, like brilliant film writing, manages to be incredibly poignant, soft, delicate, very touching. I'm a fucking softie, but I was in floods, man, at the end of this. And I'm not the only one going on the Facebook page, but it seems to be that's what happens. But it's also like manages to genuinely be funny. The Watts character is a bit of he's a bit of a wisecracker, and a lot of the lines are properly laugh out loud funny. And just I could just talk about it forever, because it's perfect. There's not one nanosecond of it that I thought could have been different or better. It's deeply personal. It's completely charming and endearing, touching. It makes you think about your whole life. Made me think about my whole life, my family, everything that I'm lucky for, everything that I'm scared of, and all while never feeling pretentious and never overstepping his marks. All on top of that, in an incredibly clever, high concept way, which made me feel like the stuff about Inception, which I loved, which wasn't the complicated puzzles and things that people talk about these days about Nolan's movies, but it was the emotional stuff in Inception, which really got me. Like when they're down in limbo and everything's just so raw, and the whole tone of the film just kind of draws you into this relationship, and it's not really about the fucking mechanics. That's what this game made me feel like, and by the end, it's just perfect. It's perfect.
What was the online multiplayer like?
Yeah, there isn't any, but the in-app purchases are a little bit pervasive.
Fair play. Wow, shit. That's not the game that I thought you were talking about. I was thinking of something that was kind of a space simulator of some kind.
Oh, like Kerbal Space Program or something.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Okay. Well, that sounds like quite something. How much did you pay for it? Was it a Steam sale?
It was £1.50. Yeah, £1.50, £1.60 in the Steam sale. I don't think it's massively more than that. Now I think it's probably like a £5.
Can you get it on Mac?
I don't know. I would assume so. It's such an amazing piece of work, and straight away, like, it doesn't take any effort or any. It doesn't plod. It's not slow. You know, it's straight away from the fucking first second of the game. I was completely into it. I had the intention of playing it for a bit, and then doing a bunch of other games to talk about on the podcast, like some of the games higher up on the list, which I didn't probably play enough. But that's because I couldn't put it down. Not that you put a game down that you're playing with a mouse, but you know what I mean. I couldn't step away. I had to just sit there. I just wanted to know what was happening, and it's so well constructed. And it's the guy who fucking 23. I read on Eurogamer he was 23 when he made this game. He's some sort of genius.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I'll look into that as soon as we finish recording.
Yeah.
This.
I mean, you're not as fucking softy as me, so it won't get you as much as it did me. But I'm sure you'll still love it.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. That sounds. I love stuff like that. I mean, it's annoying that those kind of things don't get. I mean, because I should have heard of that. I mean, I have heard about it. I mean, I know I've heard people talking about that game, but it is weird how things. There is a barrier that sometimes those things don't cross over.
I think it's like, in this world, when it's on PC, it's kind of like how music used to be, in that someone could release an album, and it could be out for a year, but then take off when it suddenly, you know, they tour with the right people, or it just suddenly gets the right coverage in the right place, and then it starts to take off from there. Yeah. So that seems to be the way that the PC indie scene can be. Not that me talking about it suddenly going to make the game take off. It took off way before any fucking idiot like me ever had anything to say about it. But brilliantly, he's doing a sequel as well. And given the concept of what the game is, there's scope to do infinite amounts of them with these characters. But what a wonderful piece of work.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Hopefully the sequel's got different skins for your gun in it.
Yeah, no way. I mean, no doubt. I can't even be fucking clever. That game's amazing.
Well, okay. Well, no, I will play it. I will definitely play that. Okay. Bizarrely enough, my number one is the exact opposite, whilst also at the same time being kind of similar, because I think it's in the upper echelons of the best games I've ever played. My number one is Hotline Miami.
Oh my god, you've actually played Hotline Miami?
Yeah, I almost bought it on I downloaded it for my Mac, but it was exactly the same price as the PS3 version, so I just thought I just bought the PS3 version.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as Thomas Was Alone. I don't have a whole lot to say about it because everything's already been said. It's dynamite. Everyone,
I knew you'd fucking love it.
Exactly, I knew I'd love it too. I don't know why it's taken me this long. The way to explain how my reaction to it, if you just took 3 Polaroids of my face, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, from sort of confusion to just a fucking shit-eating grin. It's just everyone knows what it is. There's nothing I can really say.
But I want to hear what you have to say about it, because I've always been excited to I've always wanted you to play it. I mean, the game's been out for ages, and I've always wanted to play it, so I knew you'd love it.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really keep track of my thoughts. I was just like, I knew this was going to be as absolutely brilliant as it is. One thing I will say, I can totally understand why people who played this on a mouse and keyboard could think that nothing could compare. This probably doesn't compare, but it comes about as near as possible as it's. I mean, it's a lot of care and attention has gone into making this fit onto the PlayStation 3 pad. It's really slippery and fast, and it's like putting the maximum sensitivity settings up on an FPS. Where some of my friends play like that, and I try. I was like, I can't. It's just impossible. It takes a bit of getting used to, but you can genuinely do things that I'm sure people who've done it on a mouse and keyboard would think were impossible, and it's not. You play it at just such a relentless speed. I just love the way that things that you do in every action game are almost impossible, and sometimes, and just the brilliance of the amount of times it literally took my breath away. When I remember there was one instance where I was running around and I saw this dog, and I backed into a room with 3 guys, and I shot 4 guys and the dog in the space of about a second.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's brilliant moments like that. It's a non-stop, and just each level's very, very different. The way the enemies are, the way the level's structured, unbelievably clever. I mean, I'll be the millionth and first person to say that the soundtrack is stunning.
Yeah.
I haven't really bothered to sort of take pause and think about what my thoughts are, because it's clearly some kind of masterpiece, and I don't know why it took me so long to play. I've conveyed this. I've attempted to convey this to friends of mine just this weekend, just gone actually, and they're like, "Yeah." When you said that, I looked at YouTube videos and I was like, "No, don't." I mean, look at YouTube videos all you want. 5 minutes with a pad in your hand, it all makes the most brilliant kind of sense. I mean, it's just, I don't know how it is something you look at and you're like, how are they going to make that clever, that interesting? It's a top-down shoot 'em up. The systems are faultless. I mean, it is a masterpiece. I mean, it's pure excitement. It's visceral and it's nasty, and it's just, and there's a real sense of place. That weird, a sort of 1980s era. Yeah, it's weird how there is that sense. I really felt like I was going somewhere when I stuck it on. And the first time I got is it A+? I think it's the top rank.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, fucking hell! What a game.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm envious of you and actually been able to have played it clean.
Yeah.
Because obviously I had so many problems with it, but I've said it before plenty of times. But the fact that I kept going back to it, I knew there was something there from all the problems in the amount that it screwed me over constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but playing that clean playthrough on Vita was amazing, and yeah, I am chuffed now. I'm chuffed that you finally played it. I thought that you never would, but I know I am chuffed that you played it.
No, I knew I think I was kind of waiting for a sale or some shit. I don't know, but it had been too long. I knew I was going to fucking love it. I just wish it was on Xbox, because I'd like to be able to. There's friends that I'd force to get it. I have a couple of mates on PS3, and they've bought it, and hopefully we can get some high score sort of competition on the go.
Yeah.
But it's singular, really. I mean, like, again, it's like it's you have no doubt that they wanted to make that game exactly as it is. Yeah. But even if you don't like that stuff, if you don't like the music for some reason, if you don't like aspects of it...
Imagine not liking the music.
That would be a little bit weird. Yeah. But if there are aspects of it that you don't like, just as a game, just the systems, every fucking pitch perfect, the amount of just the quick restarts, trying different things, experimenting non-stop. God, it's fucking brilliant.
It is brilliant. I'm pumped for the sequel.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to get that one early. I hope it comes out vaguely at a similar sort of time. Or maybe I'll just brave a mouse and keyboard. It's not my natural...
I reckon they might try and get it day and date on PlayStation.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be fucking gleam.
I reckon they might well.
Yeah. £6 of magic.
Is that what it was? Was it £6? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I played it on so many different formats. But
Genuine.
Yeah, it's a special game.
No doubt about it.
And the story's good as well.
It is. Yeah, genuinely is, yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, that was a fucking epic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what you do when you have to go away for work. Cheers for that.
Yeah, well, if you'd have let me know in enough time, I could have got someone else on. But you told me at the last second, you mug.
Yeah, I got. Who cares? All right, follow us on Twitter. I've just checked the Twitter actually, and there's more recommendations coming through, which is fucking sweet. So that's amazing that even happens. Thank you very much. Please just give us more recommendations. We'll pretty much probably play it through all of them, unless A, we've already played them, or B, we forget. So yeah,
That's very
tweet
likely.
us at Chet and John's for that, or individually at John Denton, at Chet Roivas, or just fucking talk any old shit to us, and we don't care. You can follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook. You'll get an update if you want to on there. There's not really any point. You can go to the website as well. There's no point on doing that unless you. I don't. Just stop talking. And YouTube, yeah, go on to YouTube.
Check out YouTube. Rue McClanahan.
I don't know what to say. Bye. I'm really tired. So my number one is Pikmin 3 on Nintendo Wii U. Now, I know you're very excited about this game.
Yeah, big time.
Pikmin 3, as everybody knows, is the sequel to Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2, long awaited. And in my opinion, three things. Number one, it's very, very, very good indeed. Number two, it's properly classic Nintendo. And number three, it's the first proper HD franchise game Nintendo's ever done. I know there's New Super Mario Bros. U, but that's 2D, and it's very familiar with games that have come out in the last few years. This feels like the first proper big Nintendo game on Wii U for me. I played Pikmin 1 when it came out in the GameCube. I didn't really get on with it. I didn't like the 30-day thing, and so I didn't play 2. But this, to me, obviously, you know the basic structure of Pikmin. You get the little plant dudes. You control them like an army, like a kind of RTS, and you solve puzzles with them, do combat. People know what Pikmin is, right? In here, though, it feels like almost like a Nintendo greatest hits. This is everything Nintendo does as a development studio, kind of put into one game and laid bare. It's about, like I said, solving puzzles. It's about making you feel both incredibly stupid and incredibly smart within the same 5-minute space. It's about being really, really charming, but also oddly esoteric and with an edge. Almost all of their stuff has a slight edge. Even if you think about some of the stuff in Mario, he's pretty murderous. But this obviously is probably Nintendo's harshest game. In fact, it's fucking harsh. But overall, I think it's the best game that they've done in a long, long time, probably since Galaxy 2, which is a few years old now. It's a very special game indeed. As you can see if you do watch the video, it looks fucking amazing. It really genuinely does look amazing. People have talked about the Wii U and how it doesn't have the graphical power of even the current gen consoles and whatnot. Maybe that's been the case for people trying to port third-party stuff over. They haven't really given it the time, or they haven't done this. It doesn't matter. This game, Nintendo, with their own console, with their own technology, however long they've been making it, looks absolutely stunning. It's so detailed. It's crystal sharp, crystal clear even. And, yeah, everything about it, like, there's stuff like little sand effects, and when it rains, when you're down on the world, everything gets covered in like a glistening sheen, and it just looks fucking amazing. All the fruit that you pick up looks amazing. So, is there anything you want to know about how it works, or what's new about this one?
Well, I played it several months ago, and at that point there was only one control style. Do you have to have a Wii remote and nunchuck? You can't just play it on the pad, can you?
No, you can play it on the pad. Yeah,
oh, you can.
Yeah, I've only played it on the pad, in fact. So I did. I mean, I know there's the Wii remote styles in there, and I've heard that that's actually better for some of the boss fights because you get a bit more accuracy. But when you play with the pad, you have a interactive map on the gamepad and just standard Pikmin 1 controls on the sticks and whatnot. But the map is actually really good because you tap it and it pauses the game, and you can drag it around and see where you want to go. And it has a good radar system. It tells you where fruit, as you like not level up, but as you progress, you can get more detail on the map. So you eventually get a fruit or certain things you should look out for. And it has a really cool thing where you can tap somewhere on the map and then press go here, and they'll just automatically go here. So when you get to a certain point in the game, you have 3 dudes that you can control and split up and put into their own separate teams. So as you get better at the game, you can give all of them their own bunch of Pikmin and then start setting them up for little tasks. So say one bunch is trying to knock down a wall, you can fuck off with another 2 and get them doing something, and then sporadically check back, and once they're done, you can just send them back to the Onion. The Onion is obviously the home base where all the Pikmin live, so they don't get in trouble while you're out doing other stuff, and you start to multitask like that. The game never really demands that of you, but you just I found myself naturally getting quite good at that after probably about 8 or 9 hours, so it's never daunting in that respect. It's always taxing, but it's never too hard.
Yeah.
And then there's loads of really clever puzzles that involve using all 3 of your guys to like get over a ledge and then do thing with Pikmin. All stuff that, like great Nintendo stuff, like I said, makes you feel like a dumbass for ages, and it makes you feel like a genius when you solve it. Like the best stuff in Luigi's Mansion, obviously the best stuff in Zelda and Metroid, which this has a hell of a lot in common with both of those games, because it has large worlds where loads of stuff, you have a clear path through it, but there's loads of stuff that kind of looks strange, looks maybe out of place, or maybe it doesn't, and then it starts to unravel itself and then becomes this much more detailed level with all these different options and ways of breaking it down and ways of kind of rinsing it for all the stuff that you need to do, as well as progressing just to get to the boss. The more I played, the more I was just like, fucking hell, nobody does it like Nintendo when they're on form like this.
Yeah, god damn it, I can't wait. I think the best the control scheme with the pad sounds really neat, but I bet you will love it even more if you use the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, because having played it like that and having played Pikmin 2 like that's just, it feels so natural. They made it feel perfect, like almost as if the game would be half as entertaining without it. So have you got those at home? If you have,
I do have those. Yeah, no, I do intend to try them. I just really like having the map on the screen and what you can do with that map. So. Yeah, you would lose some stuff, but I'm sure certainly a couple of the boss fights, it can be a bit fiddly when you're firing tons of Pikmin into them, because there's one where you have to be like running away but firing Pikmin behind you, and you can't really do that because you're using the same stick to move and aim your cursor.
Yeah.
So I could tell that with a Wiimote and Nunchuck would be much better, but I still did it. It wasn't a massive problem. But just top stuff. Really, really good. And what I'm hoping, this will be the catalyst for the Wii U. It's not going to be the game that saves the Wii U. It's not going to be the game that everybody suddenly decides, I need to buy a Wii U now. It just isn't. It's Pikmin 3. It's not. I don't think any one game could do that. Maybe a brand new Zelda, maybe, but not even that. I don't know. But hopefully this will be the catalyst that I think from now every month until the end of the year, there's one big Wii U game coming out. I think there's this. Then Wonderful 101's in August, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
September, you've got probably the best version of Rayman is September. October's Wind Waker, bit of a stretch there. And then I think you've got November's Donkey Kong and December is Mario. So if it can get that level of consistency where one big, mostly first-party or second-party game is coming out every month, it could start to get that momentum that the 3DS currently has, where you can't go 3 weeks without something big coming from Nintendo or one of their second parties. That's basically been the whole way since Luigi came out, isn't it, in February?
Yeah.
That's been how the 3DS has been this year. So if they can get that, then people will start to take notice. If there's a consistent 9 out of 10 game coming out on that every single month, and the thing costs less than £200. Yeah. So I don't think it's dead and buried yet, but this could be the game that kicks it off.
Yeah. Damn, I can't wait for it. What are you going to give it out of 10?
It's got 9 out of 10.
Nice.
In my review on Video Gamer, which should be up at the same time as this video, if you're watching a video. And if you're not watching a video and listening on a podcast, go and check it out on Video Gamer anyway. But yeah, definitely one of the best games I played this year. Not up there with the very best games I played this year because it's been a special year, but fucking great. Just it's very hard to fault and nasty as well.
Just difficult.
No, I mean it's tricky, but just like it's genuinely gruesome at times. Be it the harshness of losing Pikmin at the end of the day when you go back up into space and they're just left there stranded, because maybe something to do with the fact the animation's better and it's clearer, and also like when you set like 60 Pikmin on an enemy and you just think, imagine that happening to you. I don't know, like creepy crawlies and stuff bug me out, but what a way to go. All these little fucking red fuckers just jumping on you to the point where you can't move and you're trying to shake them off, but they keep coming until you just die, and then they carry your corpse back to their spaceship to get more Pikmin. What scumbags!
Yeah. Oh no, I can't. I mean, the thing about Pikmin 3 that I remember is that they've individually animated them, whereas before they were just a sea of things. But right. they each looked like they had individual faces when I played Pikmin 3, and it made all the difference to sort of making you empathise with them. And it is gutting when you see their little those little souls go. You just like, no, losing them. Yeah, so I know what you mean. But goddamn, I can't wait. I really cannot wait.
It's a very special game. Miyamoto said it's his best game in a long time or something like that. I haven't quite finished it yet, but it's definitely the best Nintendo game, I think, since Galaxy 2, and that includes 3DS stuff. Which guys you're going to use in which areas, and ultimately it kind of didn't do it for me very quickly, and none of the other stuff about the game was good enough to make me pull through. It was very boring. Everything else about it was very, very boring, very COD. Not even like as fun as COD, just like fucking old Rainbow Six type of boring. And it just kind of left me cold, unfortunately, because I thought the idea was great if it was XCOM, but cheap and done with normal soldiers and whatever. I was like, yeah, I'm down for that, but as it is, just didn't really get it, and it wasn't fun, and I didn't like it.
Okay, you can't argue with that. What the hell was the deal with Robert Bowling? I thought he was a community manager that somehow became synonymous because I don't know. Is he a developer? Was he ever?
Yeah, I think he started as a community manager when community managers didn't really exist, and then became like lead strategist on, I think maybe Modern Warfare 3. Oh, right. So I think it was like he was sort of head of media and involved in the production. Then he left to go and do his own company. Did a Kickstarter, I believe, which failed. I think this is right. You know me, I'm always good with facts.
Yeah.
And then maybe formed another company or had a side project, and this game was from him. But I still don't think he's a programmer or anything like that. I think he's more like an ideas man.
Okay. All right, well, good
if the idea is stick soldiers in a room.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll be profitable anyway.
It was a nug 50 I spent on that shit.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, well, my number 13 is a game called... Well, it's called Jet Pack Ninja Quest if you search for it in the iOS. It's an iOS game. If you search for it in the App Store, that's what it's called. But the game is actually called A Ninja Flying with a Jetpack, a Sonic Boom Run. This was recommended by Joypod host David Turner. I think because I might have mentioned its creator a few weeks ago, because they always talk about this Chinese developer who uses terrible English and stuff and whatever. It's absolutely diabolically poor. It's a vertically scrolling shooter. You have to hold, like all the cave ports and whatnot, you have to hold the screen to move the little guy. Sometimes the thing is, you have to shoot all the time. There are a lot of enemies, so you have to shoot all the time. Sometimes when you hold him, he shoots, and then sometimes he doesn't. What you want to do is to have him shoot all the time, but then you do that and you run out of ammo. And ammo only appears in these oil drums, I think that's what it was, and you always shoot them because they look exactly the same as the enemies, and they've come at you really fast. It's fucking terrible. The enemy fire is really difficult to see. And it moves really fast, so you get hit a lot anyway. But after about 2 minutes, the brilliant enemy turns up, which the fire, when it shoots at you, the fire is the same colour and moves at the same speed as the looping background animation of space. So you almost literally can't see it. Those guys are my special boys. I mean, God damn, it's terrible. Jetpack Ninja Quest stroke a ninja flying with a jetpack colon a sonic boom rum. It was supposed to be terrible, and it is. I just wish I had more to say about it. No, I don't. Change the subject.
Is it the same people that made that zombies plants thing?
No, it's not. It's a Chinese guy. I can't remember his name. No, I actually downloaded a load of his, so I mean, I might look at them if they're worth talking about in future. But yeah, I mean, it's really fucking crap. It just doesn't work. It's bollocks. Stay away.
Yeah, I'm not touching that shit, although the name's good. My number 13 is my number 12. I don't know. There's too many in this list. Yeah. Letterpress, the game Letterpress. The reason I played this was actually listening to Joypod, and they were banging on about it, and I knew I needed more games. You played Letterpress before?
I don't think I have, no.
It's the one that's the combination of kind of boggly shit and, I guess, in a really, really, really basic way, risk, in that you have to control the board. So you try and make a letter. God, I played this fucking 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to remember now. You try and make a word. You're playing one-on-one against someone online, turn-based, and with like a square grid of letters, that sort of shit. And then if you get that, then you'll colour in that area. Say blue, it's blue versus red. And then they have to try and make a word, and they can use the letters that you've used. And then if they get it, they'll turn that area red and stuff. So you're basically trying to take over as much of the board as possible, and you can eat chunks of their colour out. So say they make a word, but you make a word with letters within that word. If that makes sense. Yeah. So then you can start reclaiming it territory. It's really good. I can see it's got a massive following. People fucking love it. I think it's free as well. It's very good. I kind of played it for a bit and then forgot I had it on my phone, and then just noticed it about an hour before the podcast, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, I forgot I played that. So yeah, letterpress. But I'm far from an expert. I'm really quite, considering what I've done for all of my career, I'm pretty bad at letter games.
Yeah, okay. Well, that does sound alright. I think.
Yeah, you like it. You like all that shit.
Yeah, true. Letterpress. It's on iOS, obviously. I assume.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a freebie.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure, although it might not be.
All right. Okay. Well, I will look into that. Okay, my number 12 is another Xbox Live indie game. It is called Ghoul. Occasionally these coloured stars fly in, which give you extra lives, and you have to be the right colour. It's fine. There's different modes. There's one mode where you can't change colour, which is like really, really quite pain. The music is a horrible approximation of a hard trance anthem, and it's really off key. It's just like, it's horrible. It's like it puts you right off. The best mode is, instead of points for getting these circles, it adds seconds to a clock that's on countdown. I mean, it's just the simplest thing in the world. It's entertaining for about 5 minutes. Like all of these things, the fact that it doesn't have high score tables is the biggest enemy, because the entertainment value that you could have would be setting a high score, which is you can't do. So Arcade of Neon, yeah. I mean, it's bleh.
Yeah, these games sort of go in one ear and out the other sometimes.
Yeah, that was one. Games. Yeah, that was completely disposable.
All right. My number 13, I guess it is Breach and Clear on iPhone. Now, have you heard of this?
I think it was on Eurogamer today, right?
That's right. It is the iOS turn-based strategy game from Robert Bowling. You know, the fucking former COD guy who went off to go and do his own thing.
Yeah.
And it's basically a turn-based strategy version of, I'd say COD. It's the same sort of jingoistic bollocks as COD, but it is more like Rainbow Six, because it's all about layering up on doors and then breaching them. So you make a little plan of action. It handles quite nicely. It handles kind of like XCOM, and it's got cover and all that sort of stuff, and you know, there's loads of really complicated menus beforehand, and you can customize all your guns to ridiculous levels, and that's where microtransactions come in, all that shit. That made no sense to me. I didn't even bother listening to it. But the actual game itself is okay, and I like the idea. You sort of stack up on a door. That's what it says. Stack up on the door, and then go through your 4 men. They've got their different classes, usual shit. And then you can kind of tap on them, tap where you want them to end up in this room. The whole thing's kind of done from an isometric, very, very XCOM-y. You can spin it, you can zoom it, all that stuff. But what I didn't like about it is that you're turn-based, but the enemies aren't. So they will react. It's not like you go in, and then that's the end of the turn, and then the enemies have their turn.
They're constantly moving?
No, they only move during your turn, if that makes any sense. So you like go to execute, you set everything up and you press like execute, whatever the button is, and all you guys move, and then the enemies will move in real time. Then they'll have battles like that. But it kind of eliminated the strategy for me, because I don't know. I wanted it to just be like a normal turn-based game where I can actually try and outthink people, but it seems to just be about how you were going to line up on doors and
difficult. And the second you saw something in the back, you had to react really quickly. It was almost like one finger death punch. It was like bang, bang, bang. You had to really react fast.
Right.
I guess the creator must have had complaints about it because he's made it very, very easy. It's still fun, and I still recommend it. But and it's 80 Microsoft points, so you can't go wrong. But I kind of liked how difficult it was. But it's still good. Fanny Granny's Great Escape.
Fanny Granny's Great Escape.
Check it out. It's good.
Yeah, big time. All right, my number 14 is a game called Slap on the iPhone. Now, the reason I played this game is I was on Reddit and some poor mug complained that his game Slap had been ripped off by some company who'd just done a complete lift of his game, redrawn the graphics and just stuck it on iOS themselves. I'm pretty sure I got his game and not that one. I'm pretty sure I did. The game itself is Slaps, you know, Slaps.
What, with hands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, that could be fun. And then it said you need 2 players. And I just thought, well, that's fine, but why wouldn't you just play Slaps? If you had another person, it's way more fun. Yeah. So I played against myself for a bit, and it's quite funny. What the little hand gets redder and redder and redder, and you can dodge. It seems like a fun game, but if I got to play against AI, I mean, it's fucking waste of time. Don't get me wrong, but if I played against AI, I would have killed 10 minutes or something. But the fact you have to play against another human, I'd rather just beat the shit out of them, to be honest.
Yeah, really. I suppose if you're a phobic of pain, then it's probably quite
But
good.
Really interested in the game of Slaps. surely only the person that made this game is that person.
Did you pay?
I felt sorry for the guy, but then the game was free, so...
Yeah, what's he going to have lost out on? A bit of exposure in the slapped hand market?
I don't know. It's one of those ones where you can, get rid of the ads for 69p or whatever.
Oh, right, okay.
I felt bad for him because he'd obviously just been ripped off, but fuck knows why the other people even bothered.
It's Reddit. He's probably making the whole thing up anyway.
Probably. But he had screenshots.
Oh, okay.
But
right.
someone got ripped off.
Yeah. All right, okay, well, that's maybe I'll check that out. Maybe.
No, don't. Just have a game of Slaps.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, my number 14 is Arcade of Neon on the Xbox 360. It's another indie game. I downloaded it months ago and I forgot it was there, so I just thought I'd get it out of the way. It's a black screen. It's 80 Microsoft points. It's a black screen. You're a neon circle and you move around in the background. You have to avoid other neon circles. If one of the same colour as you hits you, it's fine. If one of the other colours that's not you hits you, it's bad. So you only have 3 lives. All of the colours, it's amber, green, blue and red. So they're mapped to the face button so you can change colour. And you just have to absorb these circles. You get 3 lives. That's it.
Lovely boys.
Hello and welcome to episode 73 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me, as usual, is John Denton.
What's up?
Every week, John and I go through the 10 games we've been playing over the past 7 days. But because some mug last week caused us to miss the first show ever, I think, the first gap in the whole time since we started doing it.
It's not true. You've got no memory.
I'm pretty sure it's the first one we've missed. But anyway, this week it's going to be a little bit longer. It's going to be the 15 games we've been playing over the past 2 weeks. So the number 15s are the games we've played the least over the past 2 weeks, and the number 1s are the games we've played the most. That's it, John. Redeem yourself, boy.
Number 15, Torchlight 2. Just played a little bit of it just before the podcast because you've been very mean and made me do 15 this week.
Too right.
/ 2 weeks, whatever. I was in another country.
All right.
Hating on a man. Anyway, Torchlight 2 is the game that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, the Diablo deal. I could say that, but I've never played Diablo. I've only played this. And I played it for about 10 minutes just now, and it's really good. It's very simple. You know what to do. You just fucking click the guys, click the button to shoot your fucking better weapon, run around. If I had any clue about this genre, I could talk about it in detail and explain why it's good or break it down, but I don't. But all I know is it looks nice and it's quite good fun, and it's making me think that I do like this genre a bit more than I ever thought I did, but I'm still not 100% convinced.
All right, fair enough. Are you going to play? I mean, obviously Diablo 3 is out in like a couple of weeks or a month maybe on consoles. Are you going to bother?
No, not on consoles. I just play it on the PC if I was going to play it.
Oh, of course, I forgot, yeah.
Yeah, but it's still really pricey, so I only buy things for like 4p on PC these days.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this was two. It was £2, 174 or something. A joke price.
Yeah, true that. Okay. Right, my number 15 is Fanny Granny's Great Escape on the Xbox 360.
Is this the one you played? It is the one you played the other day, isn't it?
Like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I liked it very much. It's a driving game in which you simply flip between 3 lanes, and it's very simple, but it's very well made and it's enjoyable. I actually I accessed it from my dashboard by accident, and as soon as it started, it said there was a patch for it, which I thought was a bit weird. So I downloaded the patch and then played the game again. It's just made it much easier. One of the things I liked about it was that it was really